All right, it is Tuesday night. That means it's time for another episode of the Big Three podcast. I mean, you already know the crew by now, but I'm joined by Jordan, Dylan, Jake. How you guys doing?
God, I don't know any of these people. I don't know who you're talking about, man. It's my first episode on this show, man.
Doing great.
But I'm
great.
doing good, man. I'm doing good. I'm trying to be funny real quick.
Yeah, I'm doing good as well. Yeah, happy for this March Madness bracket. Happy for this March Madness season. NFL free agency's kicking off, so getting to the thick of it.
Yeah.
Did y'all hear about that pitcher who pitched in the World Classics and he signed like a AAA minor deal? He pitched out. He struck out like Simona Soto and like other big hitters. I think it was last night. I think they offered him like was it the Rays or something like that? He's like 21, 22 or whatever.
Hey, I mean, baseball.
I don't know if you heard about that.
It's a good opportunity for some of these guys from different countries to come out of it with a deal. I mean, we'll see. A lot of times like Cuban players or something. I mean, they kind of defect the country during World Baseball Classic, but sometimes teams find hidden gems. I mean, I felt bad for that Canadian pitcher who was like 19 and having to go up against like Trey Turner, Trout, Betts. I mean, I thought that was
rough.
That was rough, but at least it's something he can go back and tell his teammates whatever. At least he got to pitch against them.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, but I mean, y'all been watching World Baseball Classic?
I haven't watched any games actually. I've been kind of busy with work after having a couple of days off, so I haven't been catching up. But I'm watching the basketball tonight, so that's catching my eye.
Is it
first four starts tonight?
Was the first who?
The first four. The games in
so it's gonna be a 16 seed matchup, and then it's gonna be an 11 seed.
Oh, that's the one who plays. He gets to play Alabama, right?
Yeah, the 16 seed and the winner of this matchup gets to play TCU.
Yep.
Yeah. Kyle, how do you watch the baseball? Is it on ESPN Plus or?
The games will be on like Fox or FS1, FS2.
Oh.
It's basically like Fox showing.
I wonder what time because they're on like weird times.
Yeah, I think there was a couple of games that were on like this afternoon, and usually like the U.S. games seem like they're later.
When do they end? Because they got baseball coming up in a couple of weeks. So like the season starts. Like when do they stop? When does the tournament end?
The Classic will end, I feel like the week before spring training ends. Yeah, there's no issues with that. I mean, some of these teams letting their players go away from camp is a little bit tough, but at least they're like playing baseball.
Playing.
So, yeah,
they're still playing.
Yeah.
So it's not that big of a deal. All right. Guess we go ahead and get started with the topics for tonight. Start with the NFL. I mean, it's been a wild start to free agency already. But before we get into even the free agency, I want to talk about the Bears. A lot of people were watching them with the number one pick.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the wishy-washy ways they were talking about Justin Fields and whether or not they were going to trade him or not. The Bears turned around, traded the number one pick to the Panthers, who were at 9. So the Panthers have jumped up to number 1. First question would be, looking at that trade, do you think the Bears made the right decision? We'll start with Dylan.
I mean, yeah, I think the Bears did a pretty good job. I mean, obviously trading out was probably the best decision there. It really seemed like the top players in this draft were quarterbacks. Of course, they could have just took, Will Anderson, Jalen Carter, and just kind of just done that and just took the top player on their board. But overall, like just solidifying more picks, getting a star receiver and DJ Moore, I think that's going to be a very utilized piece in this trade as well. And just getting more picks and still potentially getting like that Jalen Carter at number 9 or, like a Tyree Wilson, Miles Murphy, like a guy you had pretty high up on your board already. You could still get at 9. Plus you got a lot of capital and a receiver to pair with your young quarterback you already have. I think it was really smart for the Bears to do. I don't think dropping to 9 hurts them any. I still think they'll get a good talent. I still think they'll get one of their top players probably on their board. Yeah, I think it was a great trade for the Bears.
Okay. Jake, what are your thoughts about it?
I mean, just the same as Dylan said, it was a fantastic trade. The Bears realized that they have a good quarterback, a quarterback to build around in Justin Fields, but they need a lot of help. That roster was not very good. The offensive line needed a lot of help. He didn't have any receivers. The number 1 pick didn't really suit what their needs were. They drop back down to 9. They get DJ Moore, who now, Fields has a legitimate target to throw to. They get some other draft picks they can build with or they could trade. They have a ton of cap space. I think it was absolutely the right move. For the Panthers, I don't hate the deal. I think the Bears definitely got the better end of the deal. But if Carolina gets the right quarterback, then if you get the right quarterback, almost any deal is worth it. But Chicago definitely won the trade. Super happy, super excited to see him. I love watching Justin Fields play. And now it seems like he has some dudes on both sides of the ball that can help make the team a little bit just more competitive. I don't think they're going to be a great team, but they're definitely going to be better than they were last year.
All right. Yeah. Jordan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, so for some reason I thought the Texans had the first pick because the whole talk it's about Stroud, it's about Bryce Young. I mean, so I was confused, but now so they were at number 9, and so now they traded their pick. So I mean, I like it. They got a good receiver in DJ Moore. I mean, I know we signed Raquan Smith. I know we signed Raquan Smith we got him from the Bears, but I don't know why they didn't pay him $72 million, but they got Trayvon Edmonds, paid him $72, so kind of it was a steal for us in that aspect. But a lot of Bears fans like, oh, why are you paying this dude $72 million when you could have paid Raquan Smith that? But maybe their little crossroads they had, whatever, with Raquan, because he doesn't have an agent himself. So, in that aspect. But no, I think the Bears won it. I mean, like Dylan said, they have cap space to sign other players. I know a couple analysts say that the Bears are gonna beef up their O line or their line in the draft. Like Dylan said, Carter is probably at that spot. Or they can get a receiver to pair up with DJ Moore. I mean, they got Mooney, they got who's the other receiver?
Claypool.
So,
Byron Pringle.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, plus it's going to be interesting because, we all know are waiting the Aaron Rodgers situation. Can the Bears be the number 1 spot in that division? I mean, maybe Bears 1, Lions 2, Vikings 3. Who knows? With Aaron going to the Jets, Jordan Love kind of his first full year starting as a quarterback. Packers might not be as good. Now they lost Lazard. Now he's at the Jets. So I mean, they're kind of on a rebuild. So maybe the Bears with that cap space and this whole move and what do they do in the draft? The Bears could have an upside in this. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's for sure. And hey Steve, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it.
So I missed the page, no answer, huh?
Yeah, I decided to put it back up there.
Yeah,
so looking at the Panthers moving up, Bears moving back. So are we assuming the Panthers actually moved up to take a quarterback?
Well, yeah.
Well, didn't they? Then who they recently get?
Who else is their quarterback? They got nobody.
They signed Andy Dalton. Yeah.
Look, I'll tell you right now, as a Saints fan, Andy Dalton ain't cutting it anymore, man. If you want to average 180 yards passing a game and win 6 games, go for it. That's your ceiling. No, they're going for a quarterback. It's just a matter of which one are they going for.
Yeah, right. I mean, Andy Dalton was obviously that veteran quarterback they want to have in the room to kind of just kind of show them the ways, be like, hey, this is what happens here.
And that's a good sign for that.
Yeah.
All right.
I wonder who's the Bears backup quarterback.
Matt Corral?
Do the Bears have a backup QB? I said, do the Bears have a backup QB in case he goes down? I don't know.
Simeon.
They probably do, but I honestly couldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, if Fields goes down, they're in trouble anyway. So, I mean, Whoever the backup is, Bears fans hope they never see him
Yeah.
because one, that means Fields either doesn't have a game with like a bunch of turnovers and they had to pull him, or he's hurt.
Or he's hurt.
So
Yep.
so backup.
Yeah, he was their GM
Not
because
hope.
he's making some smart moves, man. He's
No, he's done a
am
good job. The
probably-
Bears have had a good
Yes.
turnaround this offseason. They've been good.
Yeah,
I mean, after
they've
it looked
been
like
heavy in
they
free
might have
agency
butchered
too.
it.
yeah, I'm gonna be interested to see like with these moves, like with the Bears, like like I said, like in that division, like who's gonna be that top team in that division? Because like I said, Packers are kind of like rebuilding with Jordan Love.
I think Detroit's
I think
has
it's
to be
wide
the
open.
favorite. I think Detroit
I
has to
mean,
be the favorite.
All lights are going to be on the Bears for sure, because it's like the narrative in Chicago. It's like, well, we really can't test Justin Fields because we haven't given him anything, and now it's like, okay, we're giving you stuff, so please perform again. So Justin Fields is definitely going to have a lot of spotlight on him now. You gave him DJ Moore. I mean, did they actually get Orlando Brown as well? I didn't see anything. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I mean, they're beefing up their defensive side of the ball as well too to help out. I mean, overall, I mean, regardless if they get an O-line or D-line in the draft, it's going to be helpful. They have Mooney, who I think is a great receiver. I think DJ Moore is a great receiver. Chase Claypool, we'll see. But overall, I mean, they'll still have to do some work, re-signing David Montgomery. I mean, they technically don't have a running back on the roster yet. Bijan Robinson at 9 sounds a little tasty to the Bears now as well. But overall,
That's high for a running back, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Saquon went 2. If we saw Saquon go 2, anything's possible.
That's fair.
Yeah,
But
that's a good point.
I mean, it's going to be interesting. This Bears team's definitely going to be like one of those teams that it's like, well, we know they're not going to be good, but this offense is going to be really fun to watch, if they can get a couple more pieces and, kind of get something together.
Yeah,
I think the Bears could be like how Jacksonville was this year. You don't kind of expect them to win the division. Maybe, you kind of expect them to be that team that might win 6-7 games. You get better, you see some progression, but they could have like a Jacksonville season where they kind of just sneakily win the division, or, have a 10-win season and you're like, oh, okay, well, the Bears are actually pretty good. It makes sense.
Yeah, it could happen, especially if Detroit pulls a Detroit and, the expectations are too high. They overachieved. They could say they overachieved last year. Minnesota's probably not going to be the same record they were this year. It could easily happen. Absolutely. NFC's completely wide open. And I think it's really exciting to see. I think the NFL is going to put a lot of primetime games for Chicago, which will be good for the Chicago fans. Everyone wants to see Justin Fields, and now there's a little bit more personnel around him to make him more watchable, as opposed to just being a highlight that you'd watch on YouTube or something.
All right, so Anthony says everything looks good on paper, not on the field. Well,
that all remain to be seen.
Yeah, because it's easy to win the offseason, but got to perform on the field against that division. Like Jordan, you said, a lot of questions in that division.
It's kind of like wide open.
Yeah, the Vikings probably would be the favorite just because of last year, but we know that they're not going to have the same year they did last year.
I mean, they might lose Thielen. They might lose a couple players too.
Thielen's already gone.
Thielen's gone.
Thielen's gone.
No, he's well, he's gone.
But they did bring in.
Yeah, he's gone.
He's gone. He's gone. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they did bring in Brian Flores to fix the defense, and if he has an impact on that side of the ball, I think that definitely helps Minnesota a lot next year. But after that, yeah, if the Bears use this cap space correctly, hit on their draft picks, it's not crazy to think that they.
How many picks do they have in the first? I know they got the 9th. Any other picks they got in the first round?
Well, they got another second, and so I mean, they got another second this year.
I remember looking it up. They have like 9. They have like 51. It's like 2 in the 60s, 3 in like 130 to 136 area. So
they probably have like 5 or 6 in the top.
So they got a hit on the first pick. Then they got to really decide who they want.
Well, I mean, for a team that has a lot of needs, like Jake said, you really can't go wrong at 9.
Nope.
You're kind of in a position where you just take best guy available that's sitting there. Whether that's like a Jalen Carter who may drop.
He could
or
fall.
whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. One thing
Smith
really
would
quick
be
to talk
fun
about
there.
Yep. One thing for the NFC North, real quick to talk about for the Vikings. They still, despite their record, they did have a negative point differential. So with
Yes.
them losing some key players, I don't expect them to even be a 10-win team next year. Like they were unbelievably lucky.
Yeah, they were. All right, so Juan has a question for us. Yeah, appreciate you tuning in, Juan. Big offseason moves this past couple of days. What is y'all's most unexpected move/signing? That's a good question.
For me, I think it's Alan Lazard being signed to the Jets. It happened today, a few hours ago. It was like a 4-year, $44 million deal for like a best case wide receiver 3 on a good team. Like, I don't want to be an Alan Lazard hater, but I'm trying to be realistic. Like, what scenario is he your wide receiver 2? I know that Aaron Rodgers said, hey, if you want me to come on the team, I'm going to go there. But to me, they felt like the Jets really just overpaid for him because the demand was there from Rodgers. That shocked me pretty good.
For me, it wasn't really a trade. It was more of what I know that it was expected. But we're letting go of like Calais Campbell. I know it was kind of like I know I get there for like free up cap space. But he's well respected in the locker room. He say he wants to play on another team, maybe it's the Ravens or someone else. But it wasn't really a trade; it was a move. That it was expected, but it was like, oh wow, it happened because he vouched for other players, like Lamar and other players. He's very well respected around the league. But I know the NFL is a business, so like cap space, you need to get under that cap space. But I would say for a trade, Jimmy G to the Raiders. I mean, because I didn't really expect that. I expected him to go maybe to like I expect him to go somewhere else than the Raiders. Because I know once they let go of Carr and the Saints picked them up. Yeah, that was kind of a shocking trade for me.
I mean, I kind of expected the Jimmy G to the Raiders because of the McDaniels connection.
No, it makes sense, and it's not a terrible contract. Not terrible.
What was your one? I want to ask, what was your surprising move or signing?
Well, Anthony Price threw out there. Waller traded for a 3rd-round pick.
Yeah,
that was a bit surprising. I mean, I know Waller's got an injury history and everything, but it still was pretty surprising since they're trying to. You would think they would want Jimmy G to have some more weapons around him, and Waller's still a great tight end, but it's also Vegas. It's the Raiders. I mean, nothing.
How much money did they clear from that? I think that also has a lot to do with it because the Raiders do have some money. I mean, that Jimmy G contract wasn't a horrible contract, like we said, but like, yeah. I mean, Stephon Gilmore to the Cowboys was probably mine. That was kind of unexpected.
That's a Jerry Jones move right there.
That's a very Jerry Jones move. But like, I mean,
5 years ago, that's a great deal. Don't get me wrong.
No, it's gonna be interesting because we know everyone has their opinion about Trayvon Diggs. It's a great interception corner, but man, he does get a lot of yards and touchdowns scored on. But I mean, he's going to get someone like Stephon Gilmore in the cornerback room, which is a veteran cornerback, a defensive player of the year, someone who's going to be able to help him out a lot, but also help that secondary out a lot. I do like the trade, like Jake said, a very Jerry Jones move that seems very esque of him, but I do like it a lot. I think that's a very good player you're getting in the cornerback room, someone that can help a Cowboys team that has probably secondary issues for a little bit now, and just having a veteran in that leader like that room just to be able to tell you like, hey, this is what happens. We need to do these things. So yeah, I like it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, one agrees. Yes,
signed 2 years.
I'll just say too, as a Saints fan, losing Marcus Davenport to Minnesota just that hurts.
Yeah,
I love Davenport, and I hate the Vikings as a Saints fan. So seeing him go there was pretty painful, but not surprising. I knew he was gone. It just still sucks to see him go.
1 year, $13 million. I was hoping he was gonna. I was thinking he'd get something more long term than
Me too.
that.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
Another one I thought was Jesse Bates from the Bengals. I don't know he's going to go to the Falcons.
Yeah, that was surprising. Him going to the Falcons, that's not a team I would have threw out there. I guess if he was chasing the bag, I guess I probably would have
Oh,
said he
Mike
probably
White
would go
to
to
the
the
dog. Yeah,
Falcons.
yeah. There's a lot of, like Anthony
Yeah.
Price said. There's a lot of sneaky moves.
Yeah, that's a
like
good one. That's a good one
Mike
as well,
White.
too. He was a New York legend, and now he's in Miami.
So let
Exactly.
me ask the panel. I don't know if this was a topic on our list, but so now, I mean, well, we'll see what Carolina does with that QB. But Falcons say they got Heineke. They're gonna go with Ritter. So what team? I guess you think the Commanders are gonna be in running for Lamar? Or no, that's a good question because
No, it is.
the other day you said Falcons and then Panthers. Will kind of question mark. Colts kind of still in the running. I guess we would say. Like I'm still kind of like thinking like it's like
Why aren't the Colts signing Lamar right now?
Well, people can't talk to him until like 4:00 tomorrow. So like
I would talk to Lamar now. Whatever.
no, I'm saying people. No, he can't talk to anybody until like 4:00 tomorrow.
He's talking to people. He's talking to people right now.
But I mean,
I think Washington would be a good fit. Like if we're going back to George's question, Washington would be a good fit for him. They have Eric Bieniemy as the offensive coordinator, so we call him the plays. If anyone's going to be able to help, kind of,
I think he is
fix his passing and everything that's there. Washington has fantastic talent, wide receiver, running back. Their problems really are with their offensive line. So if they could fix that, I think it could work. And also, like we talked about in our group chat, don't rule out Dan Snyder's giving a big middle finger to the rest of the owners and saying, hey, I hate you. You're forcing me to sell the team. I don't want to sell. I'm going to screw up the quarterback market again, give Lamar what he wants, and then sell the team. Peace out. Double deuces.
I mean, who's the quarterback now for Washington? Do they have a quarterback?
Sam Howell.
Sam Howell.
I mean, Jake.
He looked good.
Jake. I mean, Anthony. I'll definitely take Lamar over Howell.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, Howell looked okay. He had the one start. He looked decent, but I think it was like a 5th-round pick. Washington is going to address it. They want to get Heineke leaving ultimately helps Washington's move on because anytime, speaking to someone who lives in their market, anytime a quarterback played poorly, the crowd just would cheer for Heineke because he's such a hard worker. Getting him out of the room, and look, he's fun to watch, but he's going to make a bunch of mistakes. Getting him out of the room allows them to kind of move forward and pick their guy and stick with their guy. And could it be Lamar? Sure. Do I think it will be? Probably not.
So, Jake, I left this one up for you because Juan says he was surprised that Jameis stayed in New Orleans. Would have rather have had the red rifle, but I don't think Dalton fit in their scheme as much as Jameis. So, what do you think about that as a Saints fan?
I mean, I was surprised Jameis stayed too. I was really surprised. I guess there just maybe wasn't a market for him. I was expecting him to go. The Saints really didn't handle the Jameis Winston issue this season very well. He got hurt, lost his job. They kept sticking with Dalton. They were trying to win, but they were obviously very limited with what they could do with Andy Dalton. Winston does have a higher upside. I feel like it'd be best for him just to move on. Is he a good backup quarterback? Sure, but is he going to be getting any real playing time? No. Like unless Carr gets hurt, like Winston's just going to be riding the bench. So I was surprised. Dalton was at this point in Dalton's career, he's a typical backup quarterback, would be great for it. But I'm just surprised Winston wanted to stay. I would, if I was him, I would have wanted to have left.
I'm surprised. I mean, a good thing Juan brought up New Orleans. I was surprised Mark Thomas got did the contract. I thought he was going to go somewhere else, but he's injury prone. So it's like,
if they would have cut him though, the salary cap penalty would have been like twice what he was earning, and with the Saints salary cap situation, they had to do it. I think it's just a 1-year deal, so they can kind of move on from him after this. But yeah, we'll see. He's a sore subject.
And then with Anthony's comment here about, we don't want Lamar, I'm thinking maybe he's looking at it from the cap space you would need to sign Lamar.
Sure.
Maybe he's not really willing to commit all that to Lamar because we have mentioned on him before. There's definitely questions about Lamar going forward. Past 2 years, you got to question durability. You got to question whether your team is even like constructed in a way that if Lamar goes there right now, to the best situation for him. So, I mean, I'm not mad at it if he doesn't want Lamar because Lamar is a special talent, and you got to make sure you have the people that know how to use him correctly.
Right.
I'm not, like I said, I'm not mad at that. But you said,
But then again, I mean, I think that I saw reports and stuff
Mhm.
saying that teams are willing to make offer sheets, but then again, there's one side where it's like then another Ravens can match that offer. So it's like, yeah, teams are willing to get that offer, but it's like, why waste an offer sheet when I still have my draft picks when I can use those? So it's like, do you want to sign him to an offer sheet when then he accepts
yeah,
it?
but if you want
But
to, you can do the offer sheet. At worst, he either declines it or Baltimore matches it. So it doesn't really hurt you in making the offer if you seriously want Lamar. Where I think some teams are maybe hesitant about it is if you make plans to get Lamar, you may have to change your track in terms of your free agency plans. And the way that we're seeing guys going off the board quickly here, like if you make an offer for Lamar, he declines it, but the guy you wanted a free agency signed already, now you're scrambling to be like, well, we wanted this guy, he's off the board. We'll try to get this guy. Maybe we end up overpaying him because now we're desperate to fill a need. And then for Baltimore needs this to end soon because they have their own free agency plans that are kind of held up with Lamar looming over their head in terms of how much do we need? Are we got to match somebody's outrageous offer? Is he going to come back on the number we offered him? Like, what's going on here?
So, like, with that being said, like, do y'all think that something is done before the draft? Because, like you said, we need, to get our free agency started. So, like, do you think this lingers on to the draft? Do you think something gets done like this week or next week? Or
if I'm a team that's thinking about an offer sheet, I don't really have to rush into it. I can set aside whatever I want, fill the other needs that I may have, and then go to Lamar and be like, this is what we're offering you. The longer I wait, the longer that Baltimore has to wait. And if we're signing people while Baltimore is not, we're still fine whether we get Lamar or not.
Yep, I agree. It's going to happen after the draft because of the way the compensatory picks go. If let's say, for instance, we talk about Washington. Let's say Washington signs him. They still want to draft what they're at currently in this year's draft. They want their draft pick that they're giving to Baltimore to be next season, where their figure, if they spend all this money on Lamar Jackson, their record will improve. They'll be maybe let's say any team, not just Washington, any team will go up to at least 11, 12 wins. Your first round pick isn't going to be as bad as if you were a 5 or 6 win team this year. So if I'm Washington, if I'm Indy, any of these teams, I don't want to lose my first round pick this year. I'd rather kick the can down and have draft higher this year and then give up a worse pick next year.
Yeah, I just think that I think at the end of the day, I know it's murky, I know it's ugly, the contract talks and the money situation. But I think at the end of the day, I think Baltimore's gonna match whatever. That's what teams are scared about. Because
I still kind of doubt that.
You don't think Baltimore's gonna match a contract?
It kind of doesn't make sense at this point. Yeah, it depends on the money because.
Oh yeah,
I'm saying like if Washington came with 5, 250 fully guaranteed, I'm not expecting Baltimore to match that because Baltimore could have offered that before all this happened.
And then the relationship wouldn't have been damaged.
Yeah.
Coming back to that, like it just why prolong this if you're willing to do a ridiculous offer like that?
Yeah. And if I'm Lamar and Baltimore matches it, I'd be like, so why make me go through this, going out there speaking to teams if you were willing to go this far?
Yep. The only reason Baltimore is doing this is they're hoping that no one's going to match his asking price, and it's just a gamble, and we have to wait and see. But I'd be surprised if we saw anything before the draft.
Yeah. Anthony actually has another question for us. Who do we think starts in San Francisco?
I hope it's not Tom Brady. I'll just say that. If it's Tom Brady, I'm just going to be so pissed off. He's a guy that just won't go away. Because that roster is stacked. Tom Brady's like, hey, you know what? I'll go back for whatever the minimum is. I want my undefeated season. I want to go out on top. That roster is ready to go. All they need is a quarterback. It would, as someone who has watched their entire football life, Tom Brady play, it would just be like, of course he's going to go to San Francisco. So I really hope it's not Tom Brady.
All right.
As a Seahawks fan, I hope it's not Tom Brady as well. But I don't know, man. Brock Purdy doesn't have an elbow. Trey Lance doesn't have a leg. I mean,
Like an operation or something.
if it comes down to it, like depending on it, like we might actually see Sam Darnold be the week 1 starter until one of them are like fully healthy and ready to go by chance. So just depends. I mean, Darnold wasn't bad last time. You saw him for the Panthers, so maybe let him cook. Let him cook in San Francisco.
I think you got to at least see a few games of Trey Lance.
Yes.
You traded up. You got to draft him 3rd overall, gave up all that draft capital, knowing that he was going to be a project, knowing there's so many unknowns. You have to see what he is before you go forward. I mean, you owe it to the team. You owe it to him. I think it's going to be the real story this preseason is going to be who's going to win the starting quarterback job at San Francisco. You almost have to just see what Trey Lance can do. We know Brock Purdy can play well. How does he do after the elbow injury? We haven't really seen him in a whole lot of situations where he's been behind. I want to see Trey Lance. I want to see what he can do and see if the potential actually matches what we see on the field. But if I'm San Francisco, I at least give him 2 games. And if it's a nightmare, then at least you go, okay, well, he just can't do it. We just missed.
Yeah, I agree with that. For San Francisco, it should be Lance, because if we look at that quarterback draft, you had Lawrence there, you had Fields, who I thought was a shoo-in to go to San Francisco. San Francisco surprised everybody taking Lance, and you also had Mac Jones. Who was the 5th guy in that one? Who was it? Lawrence.
It was Lawrence, Fields.
Jones.
Oh, Zach Wilson.
Yep.
And he went 2nd. So San Francisco had to choose between Lance, Fields, and Mac Jones is who they had to choose from.
Yeah. And if you look at those 3, you'd probably say Fields was clearly the best out of the 3.
I agree.
But
Jones
at least Mac Jones has played,
second.
and if we haven't seen Lance yet, it's going to be like you picked literally the worst of the 3 when it should have been an easy choice for you. So I think for 49ers, they would hope it's Lance. But if you had to start with Darnold while Lance maybe rehabs a little bit more, I wouldn't be mad at that either. But then you got to think about Brock Purdy in that situation.
I feel like you just got to think about how that San Francisco offense is. Like, you can just plug him in there and just be like, hand the ball to McCaffrey, he will get you 30. Like, throw screen to Deebo Samuel, he will get you 40. Throw corner route to George Kittle, you will get you like 60. Like, it's really set up to just give it to one of those thousands of playmakers you have, and then the defense will give you the ball back. Don't worry. If you mess up once, okay, the defense got you covered.
Yeah. For any quarterback that's young, this is the perfect offense to grow into with all the talent they have, with the good defense, good coaching staff. If Trey Lance can't make it work this upcoming season, then he's a complete bust. Go ahead, Jordan.
Oh yeah, I've got 2 things to say about Niners. I mean, I do want to see Trey Lance play because I know he played fairly well in the preseason. Games don't count, but to show your stuff, he threw like a 70-yard ball down, I think, the Deebo Samuel or some receiver in the preseason. Then he got hurt in the preseason. Purdy, there's going to be a QB battle when both QBs are healthy. But like Dylan said, I think Sam Darnold might get the start. And then which one is healthy, either Trey Lance or Purdy is going to come back and going to start. And also, I want to see how their defense is with D'Amico Ryan gone. Because he's a head coach in Texas, so it might look. They had the same players. But,
no, that's a great point.
But the scheme might be different, So that's gonna be. I know it's part of the tree, whatever, in-house.
No, losing coordinators is a big deal. Just talk to Kyle about that. Like, you lose coordinators for your team, it hurts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, speaking of preachers, I think y'all signed a Jabril Peppers. Your team, yeah.
I'm not
haven't
mad
thought
at
about that guy in forever.
He was actually pretty good last year, and I was
was
definitely interested to see what he would look like. So, all right, I'm not mad at that. But just to catch up on Juan, he said, Rodgers to San Francisco, LOL. Joking, imagine though, Purdy starting for sure. Trey Lance could start if he kills it in preseason and training camp. Anthony, I just don't want another RG3 moment. And Washington's making a big move since they're clearing up the quarterback house. If no big move is made up on draft day, I can see Washington, I guess, with Jacoby Brissett, Drew Lock, or they can trade to move up from their 16th spot. Yeah, I mean, I guess if they, don't get Lamar or whatever, if there's a quarterback that's maybe sliding somewhat towards them and they're afraid a team might jump in front of them, I guess they can move up a couple of spots to take maybe Richardson or
you
Levis
could also
if he were
look
to slide or something like that.
Yeah, for Washington, you could also help your offensive line in the first round. In the second or third round, go after Hooker from Tennessee. I know he's a little bit older, but there could be something that's there. From everything I've seen of Jacoby Brissett, I don't want Washington's offense deserves better than a quarterback like Jacoby Brissett.
They have a great offense.
They have some studs. Scary Terry is he's so fun to watch. I don't want to see, and I'm sure Dylan can agree. Like Drew Lock isn't going to move the needle in Washington. They should just draft somebody, and if they have a guy that they like in the combine, and it looks like he's going to be second or third round, help your offensive line in the first round, second, third round, and draft your quarterback needs. That's what I would go with.
I think Anthony mentioned Stetson Bennett for QB. I think it's just trolling.
I mean, I do like Jacoby Brissett just being in there for the quarterback room, and then drafting a guy Arizona's out there chilling at pick 3. Trade up, get you an Anthony Richardson, get you a Will Levis, get you one of the two, and see how they do.
Sure.
I mean, I think I'd probably as much as I think Richardson would be cooler in this offense, I think Will Levis probably would fit what they would need a lot better. But, regardless, one of the guys would be cool there. Or just sign Lamar.
Yeah. And if Brissett goes there and he's the quarterback, kind of the guy that's going to groom the next guy, they draft somebody early in the draft, then that's fine. But you can't have Brissett as your long-term answer for the whole season. That's just going to make the Washington fans just groan because they've seen this for years and years since RG3, basically.
Yeah, I agree with the Hendon Hooker thing because I mention him basically every week. Some team's going to get him second, maybe third round, and I think potentially they're going to get a steal with that kid because we saw him with Tennessee when he was healthy. Tennessee was a legit title contending team coming out of the SEC. He got hurt and Tennessee season kind of fell apart. But if Washington goes into next year with Brissett starting until Hendon Hooker's ready to go,
that's great.
I wouldn't be mad at that.
No, I'll say this. Before the Saints got Derek Carr, I wanted Hooker to be drafted in the third round by the Saints. That's where I was hoping that he could fall to the third round. The Saints could use Winston or Dalton, however they wanted to go for it for the first 8 games this year and get a young quarterback. I know he's not young as far as other rookies would be. He's a little older, but still, I mean, he looked great, and I think someone's going to get him, and it's going to be a steal when you look at back of the third round. Something maybe like a Russell Wilson type of deal, maybe not leading directly to a Super Bowl, but something where how did he drop as far as Russell Wilson did? We ask that now. I think Hooker is going to be a very similar story.
Yeah, Juan, I understand. Appreciate you tuning in.
Cowboys fan.
Make sure you come back every Tuesday at 7. Having
Thanks
you in
for
the chat.
stopping by.
Even though you're a Cowboys fan, it's all good.
Is it all good though?
We'll take fans from any team here. We'll take fans from any team.
Is it good? Cowboy fan?
I'm not going to shame him for being a Cowboys fan. I'm just saying.
That's his life. Poor life decision.
Yeah. I mean,
just
seriously,
it's all good. I thought he left the chat, man.
It's all good. Super Bowl bound, yeah. We know that story with the
okay. Super Bowl. Okay, go make your dinner, man. Go make your dinner, bro.
I think he's speaking for the Cow. Every year they're Super Bowl bound. Sooner or later,
it has to happen one of these years.
Juan, before you go, man, what happened with Ezekiel Elliott on the last play, man? Got blown up.
People don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about that.
I doubt he wants to talk about that play. So we went through some of the moves, but there is somebody that I do want to touch on. Aaron Rodgers still hasn't made a decision.
He has left alive.
Juan is left alive.
Exactly my point.
All right, Juan. Yeah, so
All right,
Rodgers still hasn't decided on his future. It looks like he's going to end up
We'll
on the
see.
Jets
Maybe
at some
tomorrow,
point.
1:00. It's gonna be on the Pat McAfee show tomorrow, so we'll see.
Oh, can't wait for that. Green Bay's done with him. Green Bay's done.
I'm so glad they're done with him.
If
And I'm not
Green
even a
Bay is
Packers fan.
willing, if they're saying, hey, it is okay for you to talk to other teams, which they has, because he told the Jets, hey, this is my wish list. Like that means they're done. That means they're like, look, get out of here. We want to move on. It's time to go. And I'm ready for it. I'm ready for this drama to end. He's going to go to New York, just like his dad did, and it's going to flame out because he's not the quarterback he used to be. I want to see this be over, and for Green Bay to have to start over with Jordan Love.
Yes,
That's what I'm waiting for.
I completely agree.
Agreed.
I mean, at this point, Rodgers can basically only go to the Jets, or like I don't see Washington.
No, Washington's not going to go for that. Mm-mm.
Yeah, so
Washington
like,
wants
where else can
stability.
he really go? Right. Unless if
San
Snyder
Fran?
wanted to be like, hey, you deal with Aaron Rodgers, whoever the next one is.
That'd be terrible.
I mean, was either other option is either Jets or retire. I mean,
He ain't retiring. There's too much money to be left on the table. He ain't retiring.
I mean, does he have his own game show or Family Feud they run or whatever? Or Price is Right? He can do that. Make money for
Remember the
that.
host
Right,
of
he's
Jeopardy.
starting to
There's
host
Jeopardy,
Jeopardy,
but
like-
that's moved on. That was last year. Now this year it's
Yeah, they
the
already have, like,
cave
2
and the
hosts for that.
drug-induced hallucinations coming from the cave.
Well, that was Trey Wingo's fault for breaking the news because I thought he went to the Jets, but I was like, false
Yeah, I
alarm.
woke up and I'm like, when's Trey Wingo? When's the last time Trey Wingo broke a story?
Right.
No
That's why he
disrespect
did.
to him. He's a fine analyst, but he's not like
Mhm.
a guy that's plugged into teams or anything. That surprised me, but it's gonna happen. Just a matter of when.
The question is, with this Jets deal, is it like a one? With this Jets deal, is it like how many years is it? Because is it like 1 or 2 years, and then
So I think
or
he
is it
has.
like a long term?
Well,
I think he
it'd
still
be a
has 2 years
trade.
with Green Bay.
Yeah, I think he has 2 years left. I'll pull up the contract while we talk about this.
Well, Anthony put
I'll
Rodgers
pull
as
it
the type of guy he wants you to sign everybody and then the next day retire. That would be hilarious. If the Jets went and got
That'd be funny.
Lazard, Cobb, and Rodgers like, I'm walking away.
I mean, he wants
He's
Odell
like,
Beckham too.
He's
so.
like, actually, I still want to be on the Packers.
So he's like trying to be LeBron of the NFL. Like I
Yeah,
want
him
players
asking for
these
Odell
players.
and Mercedes Lewis is like, what?
Right. Like,
But Mercedes Lewis is fine. Odell, that's the thing, is like
Like-
Odell wants like $20 million. And look, I love Odell Beckham. He would have won Super Bowl MVP, but if he didn't get hurt against the Rams last Super Bowl he won, he was fantastic. But he's been injured twice. We know that he has an injury history. He's a little bit older. 20 million's that's
I
a
mean,
premium.
he did look good in his workout, but that's just
that,
I can look good in a workout, man. Come on.
yeah.
You know who else looked good in
No,
a
I
workout?
mean-
Was Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson looked like the number 2
He
overall
did-
pick for everybody in a workout.
he did look stronger,
No,
the
and
arm
look, it's
definition.
just
There's
for
never
20
a question
million
about
though. For 20
OBJ
million,
with his shirt off. He'll always look good with his shirt off, running against nobody. Question's gonna be with him. If you sign him, how many games you get out of him before maybe it's a hamstring or something. That's where he's gonna have to prove. I mean,
Yep.
the little workout. Yeah, everybody knew he could run a go route. I mean, I could have done that like Jake said. I mean, I probably wouldn't have looked as good or as fast, but I could do that with nobody covering me. So, Odell will get his money. I think Rodgers was wild to throw him into his little wish list because the Jets are probably looking at like, where are we supposed to get all this money from?
No.
because now
No.
that the strength of the Jets team is a defense, you're gonna have to lose players for Lazard, for
So I want to
OBJ, for
I wanna
Cobb.
go-
Like Cobb, really is he still a difference maker now? I don't think so.
He just needs a buddy to talk to in the locker room. He's like, all these people in New York are scary.
Yeah,
Give
They're
me
so
Cobb.
mean. Cobb, can you come with me to my cave, please?
And he's like, I need Lazard to come now because
I wonder how
he's
he's
been
gonna-
here long enough. We're friends.
I wonder how he's going to handle the Jets media or the New York media.
The New York media is going to hate him after like 3 games.
They're gonna hand
And
him
he's-
before he's signed.
Yeah, he's going to sit there. He'll play victim. He'll probably run to Pat McAfee and talk about, oh, New York. Blah, blah, blah.
Take some random drugs, and then he'll be an MVP candidate.
Yeah.
It's the kind of
So
the
another
full
question is,
circle.
what are they going to do with because they shipped away Mike White to Miami? Then what are they going to do about Wilson? They're going to ship him off somewhere or have another
They
backup?
would ship Wilson. They would have shipped him out yesterday if they could find somebody to take him.
No one wants him. No one wants that
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah, I imagine
Maybe Washington.
even
That's
like
like,
a part of that Packers deal, they're going to be like, hey, do you want him to be
I mean,
your
do you
backup
think-
quarterback?
Do you
That's
think-
a good point. That's a good
Do you
point.
think
Dylan.
Washington is a good fit for Wilson? I mean,
No.
he's with
No.
Eric Bieniemy.
Washington wants stability. That's what Dan Snyder and this cancerous organization. Ron Rivera's job is to keep the peace. Eric Bieniemy's there to kind of help fix the offense and be kind of almost like a co-head coach. They want stability. They want structure. They don't want drama. They don't want a guy who's going to be quarterback that's immature and kind of just a jerk or a douchebag. Like, if his personality was out of it, then yeah, Zach Wilson could be great there as far as a guy that could be fixed by Eric Bieniemy. But no, he's not going to Washington. That'd be terrible.
What do you say, Anthony? It's a Drew new hate Washington. LOL.
Washington, we don't want every quarterback on the market.
I mean, y'all need the quarterback, right? How?
Yeah, we don't need him though. They don't need him.
Yeah.
I mean, they can they can take whoever they can take at this time, at this moment, man.
Nobody wants Zach Wilson. Maybe I'll go to the XFL or USFL, something like that.
I mean,
I'm just saying,
you're better off just going with Sam Howell and see what Bieniemy could do with him.
Howell looked
Over
better in
Zach
his
Wilson.
one start than what we saw with Zach Wilson. I mean,
Yeah. Like, how do you think Scary Terry would feel if Wilson's overthrowing him for interceptions?
Oh,
and
he'd
he's
kill
looking
him.
around like, yeah,
he'd kill him. He'd be so pissed.
You don't need that. Anthony did ask another question. Where do we think Eckler's
Eckler?
going?
Yeah, Eckler. Yes, for a trade.
I don't
That's
know.
rough. Obviously, I don't think they'll try to trade him into anywhere in the AFC. I think if they want, they're going to try to ship him to the NFC. The Bears. I think the Bears would love to just give Eckler a pass-catching running back who can also kind of just take over on his own on the running game. Like, Eckler is not that type of running back who needs 1,000 yards rushing the ball, even though he can get it pretty simply. He's also a great pass-catching back that would be a nice piece in that Bears offense.
He would be a great safety net for Justin Fields when things don't go right for him. Instead of where he's going to run it or he's going to throw it deep, he can just dump it off. We know that Eckler can make some magic happen. The real question with Eckler is his health. Is he going to stay healthy? That's the only concern I'd have if I'm Chicago wanting to trade from him. But I agree. He's going to go to the NFC. I could see Chicago. I'm trying to think of other NFC teams that could do it. Who knows? Maybe Dallas will pull off a surprise since it sounds like they're not bringing back Zeke, and they could have a 1-2 punch with Pollard and that. But I don't know. It was a shocker. It was sad because I like Eckler a lot, and I think he was great for the Chargers. But Chargers don't want to pay him, and it's tough because you don't want to overpay for a running back. It's the one position you can't overpay.
Bijan to the Chargers.
Bijan's going to be like a top 15 pick.
I mean, man, everyone's kind of getting rid of their running backs. I mean, even like earlier, we heard like, oh yeah, Minnesota's talking about trading Dalvin Cook. Like, okay, fair enough. I mean, what else is going to do? And it's like the reason I heard that they're doing it is because like Alexander Madison wants to be like more of a starter role, and Minnesota's kind of like, oh, we don't want you leaving. Like, okay, hey man, if that's worth shipping off Dalvin Cook, do it. Alexander Madison, there you go.
Hey. Whatever it takes for you to get a starting role, go ahead. He probably played his cards, and Minnesota clearly bid at it if they're looking to move Dalvin Cook. I mean, I like Dalvin Cook, but he's had his own little injury history that
Running backs
probably
with injury,
hurts.
that's scary.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so talked about Aaron Rodgers enough. I mean, we could talk about Jalen Ramsey real quick. He went to the Dolphins. A lot of people, I think, maybe overrating his impact in Miami because, when he was at the Rams, it looked like towards the end there, he was kind of getting torched by some wide receivers. Maybe it was just product of the situation where that team wasn't looking to win. Maybe that seeped in and he kind of let his game slip a little bit. But what do you think about Ramsey going to the Dolphins? Does this move the needle for you in any way?
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. I think when you have a player like Jalen Ramsey, I think when it boils down to it, you to have a top 5 cornerback list, Jalen Ramsey is still in it, regardless of last season. I do think some of his play. I won't want to say all of it, and I don't want to give him an excuse, but I do think some of his play was a product of just kind of what the season was like. At some point, you knew they weren't going to win, so it was kind of like, well, I'm not going to be putting my 110% in if that wide receiver catches it, like whatever, like. So, I mean, yeah, if you have getting a top 5 cornerback on your team is definitely going to be a big difference. I mean, they have arguably 2 top 5 cornerbacks on their team now because Xavier Howard's also really good as well.
Yep.
The chance that it's a game changer. It's going to be a lot harder to throw on this team now. I mean, when you look at where they're at in the AFC, I mean, not really a big receiver league now. I mean, outside of maybe the Jets getting literally the old Packers receiving core. It's gonna be great for them. They're gonna probably shut a lot of teams down in that division on the pass, and it's gonna be pretty good, especially if that's 6 of their games.
Yep. No, it's a good deal, and that defense needs a lot of help. They have a good cornerback. He's maybe a little overrated. Ramsey's going to help. They have 2 really good corners that can help stabilize that defense because they were getting torched. The defense was not what it was the previous year. I think it's a great move. You have to go for it. And like Dylan said, I'm not going to fault Jalen Ramsey for getting torched when everyone on the Rams gave up. Like everybody gave up, including the coach. Like they knew this season was done. And it's hard to get up and play hard when you're like, man, we suck. Because that's what we're a terrible team. We're like the worst defending Super Bowl champion that we've seen. I'm not going to fault him for that. I expect him to bounce up. Will he get torched? Sure. Is he still top 5 cornerback? Absolutely. And Miami needs the help in the secondary. It's a good move.
Yeah. Jordan, anything about?
I was kind of shocked he went to Miami. I thought that there were some other suitors out there, but
I'm not. I think my top 2 were literally he's going back to Jacksonville or he's going to Miami. He's going to Florida. He loves it there.
Done. He was done in with LA.
Yeah.
I thought the only places he was going to get traded to was a Florida team. I thought maybe like Las Vegas because it's just a big market at first, but then I was like, man, he's going back to Florida.
Okay. I guess before we move off NFL, any other free agency stuff you want to talk about?
My Seahawks signed David. We signed Draymond Jones. Pretty big deal. 3 years, $51 million.
I know franchise tag players can start talking to teams at 4 p.m. So it's gonna be interesting to see, what players are in that news. Like, and it's gonna be Aaron Rodgers and Lamar Jackson. So those 2 quarterbacks. I don't know any other ownership free. I don't know what any other tag players are out there. I know Saquon Barkley.
Well, Rodgers isn't tagged.
No, I'm saying just the tag players can talk and negotiate with. Isn't Barkley well, he's on a non-exclusive or exclusive, right?
He's franchised.
Yeah, he's on the exclusive. Nope.
So he's off the market. But yeah, 4 p.m. those players can start talking to other teams, and so I'm gonna be interested to see what happens.
I hope the Rodgers thing does not drag out anymore.
Me neither, man.
I kind of hope it's like 12:01 a.m. Nobody's really paying attention. Quick little breaking news: Rodgers traded to the Jets.
That's what it was yesterday. It was a fake report.
And do you think the Jets trade like Elijah Moore, like Denzel Mims as part of the deal? Because I think you have to. Like it feels like that receiver room is going to be just loaded.
Yeah, because if you're bringing in Lazard, Cobb, and all these guys that Rodgers wants, Mims and Moore get buried. What's the point in keeping them? And I mean, as a Patriots guy, if the Jets want to just give them away, I take them in New England, but I'm sure they would never do that. But I think if I'm Green Bay, why not ask for him? Give Jordan Love as many weapons as you can. Mims can run. Moore's talented, just that Zach Wilson couldn't hit him. So that has to be part of the package. If it's not, I'd be shocked. I know, Jordan, you said the Patriots re-signed Peppers. I've seen a lot of Patriots fans getting all upset. Oh, Bill, what are you doing? This is literally what the Patriots do. First couple of days, they kind of re-sign their own players. a lot of the big names that Patriots fans want sign elsewhere, and then some of the secondary guys, that's where the Patriots really like to live. Because I actually did an episode on my podcast going through like 10 names, guys who are available that the Patriots could sign, and they're all really good players. They're just not Jalen Ramseys of the world. And it's like, it's okay. You can win different ways. You don't have to always get the A-plus guys at each position.
I mean, yeah, that's how the Patriots kind of really made their bread and butter when it came to those championship teams. It's not like they had the big name free agents guys. Like whenever was Julian Edelman a big name free agent, outside of having Gronk, who they drafted, and Tom Brady. I mean, those were really their big name guys outside of their defensive guys.
As Anthony put, Raiders are the new New England and Jets are the next Green Bay. That's basically how it's lining up, yeah. I mean, Raiders are just...
I mean, the New England of when they're winning championships, or the New England the past few years where they haven't been great. Like, what are we talking about for the Raiders here?
We're talking about that they're getting all the old,
old
players.
Yep.
And the Jets are getting all the old Packers ones.
Yeah. Not smart, but whatever.
Hey, you got to appease the guy you haven't even traded for.
I wonder how they're going to do with the Raiders with Waller. Like, he's gone, so it's like, who's going to be their tight end?
This is a good tight end draft.
They're backup.
Bro, they love Fabian Moreau there.
They have a good tight end. They had two good ones, and they got rid of Waller, but their other guy's great.
Yeah.
Waller's just more famous.
I could even see like the Raiders like trading back and trying to get in like that Michael Mayer range. That'd be interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, this is the year to go after a tight end if you need one.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so we'll definitely touch on free agency more next week because I'm assuming hopefully by then Rodgers, Lamar, guys like that find either a new home or re-sign their old place, and we'll talk about them later. Let's go to the NBA. So we're coming down to about 15 games or so left in the season. But my first question was, who is the best duo currently in the league? Because I think we've gotten away from, big threes around the league. I mean, I know Phoenix technically has one, but if you want to throw CP3 in his advanced stage as a big three, fine. But most teams have that top duo and then filter out the rest of the roles outside of that. So who do you guys think is the top duo in the NBA?
For me,
Jordan's answer.
Yeah, that's fair. Let's go to Jordan.
I want to hear from you, Jordan, first.
Well, Curry, Thompson, and Green. That's three. That's your dad. What's up, Greg? I haven't seen you a long time, man.
Yeah.
Why do I have to go first, man?
They want to hear what you guys
we already know who's your best duo. Who's your best duo, Jordan, in the NBA?
Best duo, like right now. Right now.
Yeah, right now in the league.
Yeah. Yep.
I was gonna go with an East team, Drew Holiday and Giannis.
Oh, okay.
Because no one can stop Giannis. I mean, what do you think? I'm gonna say LeBron, AD.
Yeah, of course.
I'll wait for that, huh?
Yeah.
Through a curveball.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I was gonna say Giannis and Drew Holiday, but Drew's kind of, he's been good.
Drew Holiday.
I love Drew Holiday.
I was gonna say Jaylen Brown
Holiday.
and Tatum, but they've been in that lineup. Like Jaylen Brown's kind of like been dealing with their whole face.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could say LeBron and AD when they're both healthy.
No, you can't. No,
Why not?
We already heard you.
You could say it, but I will not let that slide.
Nope.
LeBron, AD, fuck it, man.
Not a chance.
Giannis, Drew Holiday. He said it. Book it.
Fuck it, man. Like Conor, fuck it. Yeah. All right. I'll go with Drew Holiday and Giannis.
Okay.
I think it's Tatum and Brown in Boston. If I'm looking for a duo that's going to scare me the most, that's a team that's going to do it. I would say you could look at Kevin Durant in Phoenix, but with his injury history and Devin Booker, who's had some injury history, it's really just hard to say. When they did play together, they look great. Kevin Durant's the kind of guy that can just come into any team and just pick up from day one because he's so gifted. but the injuries, it seems like he's always going to be hurt, and I just have to. I know everyone gets hurt. There's a lot of injuries, especially with the Boston guys. But Kevin Durant's injury history scares me. It feels like he always has a knee injury. He rolled his ankle. It's going to be done for the rest of the season. I can't in good faith put them. So I'm going to have to go with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum.
Okay. Dylan?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. I'd say, like, out of a lot of the duos in the NBA, they're probably the most consistent when it comes to playing on the floor. I guess, recently it's been a little hit and miss because of some injuries, but overall they're pretty frequent together. They're the two biggest names out of there. When you look at NBA All-Stars, how many teams had two All-Stars outside of Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, who both killed that game for each respective side as well. I think they're the biggest duos. Maybe not the biggest duos when it comes to market sake, but when it just comes to overall talent and what they do for their team, it's definitely those two guys.
Okay.
Especially, and I think that has to do a lot with their longevity together. These guys were basically drafted around the same time, kind of both blossomed around the same time-ish.
Okay. I mean, I could say Brown and Tatum, but I don't want to be a homer. I'm going to show some love for another duo that I actually do like.
All right.
I like Jokic and Jamal Murray.
Does that have more to do with Jokic than Murray? Because kind of how spectacular Jokic is? Or what's your thoughts on Jamal Murray?
I also know how great Murray can be. And with Murray, Murray is back. I don't think he got injured again. But Murray is no one taking Kyrie. Yeah, no.
Nope. Defense is still part of the game.
Yeah. Oh, no. I like Murray's big shot ability. It allows Jokic to kind of be the Swiss Army knife that he is. The scoring burden is lessened on him when you have Murray that's healthy. I also like Michael Porter Jr., but I did say duo, so if I was talking about three, I'd throw Porter Jr. in there, but I got to show some love for Denver's duo there.
Good call.
I was gonna say Curry and Clay, but Curry's been out of the lineup as of late.
I'm sorry, I can't take a team that can't win on the road as the best duo in the league. Golden State can't win on the road.
Well, they couldn't win on the road because Curry's been out of the lineup.
Curry's record when he's not playing, the Warriors have a better winning percentage on the games that he's out than when he's playing.
Really?
I don't remember exactly what it is, but they're like a 500-ish team when he doesn't play and just slightly below when he does.
I'm surprised they didn't say Trae Young and DeJounte Murray.
There's lots of other things that can go with that, but
Huh?
Steph Curry, you can't have him with this season with how they've done. You can't have him as the best duo. A couple of years ago, sure, but not this year.
Yeah. Oh, Dylan, you said they're too young.
Yeah, I said. He said. I'm surprised he didn't say Trae Young to DeJounte Murray, and I was like, oh, we're just starting that little duo. It's too young.
Sure.
We gotta wait for it to progress.
Okay. Next question. Which player has the most pressure to make the finals this season?
What team has the most pressure?
Player.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will say Embiid, but I would have to say Jokic, especially if he wins a third MVP in a row. Not having a championship there just kind of just makes it seem like just filled stats in a sense. Cool, you're winning these MVPs, but Booker's also a great one. But you got to win all these MVPs, but it's you're really not doing anything. It's you're doing great in the regular season. You're beating these teams in the regular season, but when it comes to the playoffs, it doesn't mean anything. And that's not to do with anything with Jokic. He's obviously doing his part, but that's just what happens when you're the superstar of the team. You're going to be looked at as the one who gets most of the blame. So I think it's Jokic.
I agree.
How are they going to get over that hump?
Yep, I agree with Dylan. It has to be Jokic. I thought about this for a while because at first you could go to Embiid. I thought actually, if I'm just seeing anyone in the NBA, it could be Doc Rivers because if he doesn't make a good run, he's going to be fired. But it has to be Jokic because if I recall right, I think only two players have won back-to-back MVPs. I think Bird did it, and I think it was Bill Russell might have done it in the 60s. We're talking rarefied air for someone to win back to back to back. And if you can't even make the NBA Finals, you have to look at it like, man, because we always do this. We always go back and look at MVPs and be like, man, did we get this wrong? A lot of people do that with like Steve Nash with his back-to-back MVPs. Like, one of those should have gone to Kobe? Should one of those gone to someone else? I think it has to be Jokic. For me, before Kevin Durant got hurt, I was going to say it was Booker and KD. They had the most pressure because they made this blockbuster trade. It's kind of an all-in move. But with Kevin Durant's injury, they have a perfect way just to kind of like, oh, you know what? Next year, we'll get it next year. I think it has to be Jokic. You can't win back-to-back MVPs and not even make an NBA Finals.
All right. Jordan, who do you have as the player with the most pressure to make the finals this season?
I'm probably gonna say Jokic because when it comes to the beyond the starting five, that team, I'm just kind of shaky. But like their bench depth. Can Jokic carry them to the finals? I don't know. I don't know if he can do it all by himself. The key factor or the key player to help him is Michael Porter if he can stay consistent and healthy. And like you said, what Jamal Murray can be, but has he been that player ever since that injury? I think it was an ACL, right, or a knee injury that he had.
Yeah, it was an ACL.
Mm-hmm.
So it's but then again, I could say Embiid because is right now as far as MVP talks is him and Jokic in the MVP talk. So it's yeah. And plus I said that if Embiid doesn't get to the either conference finals, he's out of Philadelphia, I think, because he's had.
No, they'll keep him. They'll fire Doc Rivers. They'll get rid of Doc, and that'll be their excuse. Like, Doc's not the coach for us. It's not working. Let's bring in a good new coach and see what we can do next year. They're not going to trade Embiid. There's no way. The city loves him, too, is the thing. The city just doesn't like Doc Rivers as their coach. They love Embiid. He owns the basketball scene there.
Yeah. I mean, that's going to be hard to sell the fan base that, we couldn't make it work with Embiid, so we're moving him. And then you got to think about what are you going to get back for Embiid, and is it going to be anywhere near the production he's given Philly over these years? And with that
Embiid's
fan
one
base,
of those players that has an untouchable trade value. It's like there's really there might be a package out there, but it's like, you don't want to put yourself in that kind of state to get him.
And it doesn't make sense for the rest of their roster either. Like, they have Harden, they have who's the wing guy, the small forward, Tobias Harris. I always forget his freaking name. They have those guys. They're in a win now mode. If you trade Embiid, you're not going to get a player of equal value back. So you're going to have to go through some draft capital and rebuild. Whatever the moves that they've done, it doesn't make sense. So there's a lot of people that have pressure on it, but there's a lot of people that don't. The Boston Celtics, they don't have any pressure because they're still young. They made the finals last year. Giannis doesn't have the pressure to make it because he's already won a championship. LeBron won a championship a few years ago, and that roster isn't very good. So you have to look at it. It has to be Jokic, and if it's not Jokic, it's going to be Embiid. It's those two dudes.
And then Booker's
I will say that there is
Booker. But the injury to Durant, if Durant's not good in the playoffs, if he's not healthy in the playoffs, that's the easiest excuse you could give for Phoenix. They'd be like, well, of course you're not going to win. You traded all your depth for Kevin Durant, and he's hurt. You can't expect Booker to carry the team, because we said the same thing about Jokic the past two postseasons where Jamal Murray was hurt. They said, oh, Jokic doesn't have any help. We're not going to hold him accountable for losing in the first round or second round. So they'll say the same thing for Devin Booker if Kevin Durant can't play or is limited.
Right. And I was just saying that there is pressure on Boston's duo to get there. I don't think there is. I mean, they made it last year, got close.
I don't see it.
And it would kind of depend on how far they go. Like, if they're a first round exit, fine, you could be upset by that. But if they were to lose to Milwaukee in the Eastern Conference Finals, I'm not going to be mad about that, because
no one's going to be pissed as a Boston fan if Giannis just goes full on superhero and just takes over a series like we know he can do. Yeah. Like Boston's going to be like, well, what can we do? I know Jokic is probably going to win the MVP, but for me, I still think Giannis is the best player in the league. He's a player that scares me the most. He terrifies me. And so if I'm a Boston fan, I'm not going to be upset. It's like, oh, the best player in the league beat us. Like as a Jazz fan, I was never pissed when the Bulls beat the Jazz in the finals those 2 years because I'm like, the GOAT beat us. Like, how pissed can I be if the best player in the league beat me in the finals? Like, that's what they're supposed to do.
Exactly. All right. I had another NBA question. Yeah. All right. So this one might be a little bit outside the box. Hey, Juan's back. What's going on, Juan? Tuning in while cooking.
My man
Suns
Juan.
Welcome
gonna
back,
be
bro.
good. Yeah. Oh, Suns Bucks tonight. Oh, that's right. Because I remember Jordan. You said it like yesterday about the national team.
Toronto.
Yeah, Saints Bucks. That will be a good game. Absolutely. I like watching Giannis play, even though not a Bucks fan, but I just enjoy watching him. All right, so my last NBA question was, with these teams that, make it obvious they're not looking to win, do you prefer the current lottery system, or would you like to see Adam Silver implement like a tournament for the teams that miss the playoffs? You win that, you get like the number one pick. That way you kind of take it out of these teams' hands for tanking, I guess you would say.
I don't like that in a sense because it's like even these like mid-level teams that are like, maybe like 13th, 12th, 10th, 9th, like depending on the parameters of where the tournament would start, like, if you had, the Kings, no, I can't say the Kings, they're still the second seed, but like, let's say like the Clippers are like the 10th seed just because the West.
Oh, no, I was
bad.
saying like a tournament of the teams that missed the play-in. So you're 11 through 15.
Okay, so even
sides.
still, let's say like for example like the Thunder or a good one, or like the Lakers, the Clippers, like some of those teams are not going to miss it, and they're still like fairly good teams, like, and then they could just like play into a tournament and get the 1 seed. It's rough. I don't like it. I do like the current system. I like how the first 3 picks get it, maybe even to switch it up, make it the first 5 picks to kind of like mess with a lot of people, there's ways you can do it. I don't think playing for the pick is anything because I don't like that,
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Dylan here. Like, it's an interesting thought because the NBA does want to fix issues of teams just being blatantly bad. Like, we don't want to see the teams like the Spurs, don't want to see teams like the Rockets. Those are, I think, the 2 biggest offenders as far as tanking goes. Greg has a great option, the bottom 4. Maybe you have something like that, where if you're a bad team, it's like, okay, show what you could play for to get that number 1 pick. But the thing that you don't want to see is a team like this year. Like, I'll use my own team, the Jazz. Let's say that the Jazz finish 11th. They have a really good roster. They have some good players. Markkanen's fantastic. Clarkson's a good player. Like, is it fair for the Jazz to get the number 1 pick when they have this good roster as opposed to a team that's really bad like Detroit or Houston or San Antonio, where teams that are bad just stay bad? Charlotte, I think, is the best example, where Charlotte's never really been a big free agent market. They don't have a history of winning. They don't get a lot of coverage. And if they're not able to get built through the draft, they're not able to build at all, and they're just going to be stuck as a bad team. So I don't think a full-on tournament is a great idea. A bottom 4 could be fun, could add a little bit of excitement to it. I'll admit, when the play-in tournament was first announced for the playoffs, I was pretty iffy on it. I'm like, I don't know if I like this. If you're the 8th seed, you earned it, you should get it. A 10th seed team could be pretty bad. But I'm sold. Like, the play-in tournament is fantastic. So I do think there's ways to fix it. But a straight-up tournament, I think you could just see the really bad teams that need the help just never getting it.
Okay. Jordan, you prefer the current lottery situation, or we'll take Gregory's suggestion here. So bottom 2 teams in the West, bottom 2 teams in the East, put them in a tournament. Winner gets the number 1 seed.
So it's like the bottom 4 do like a little tournament.
Yep.
Would it be like toward the end of the year? Would it
it'd probably be in the gap between like when the season's over, and because like right when the NBA season's over, it's like, man, the draft is like in a month.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be opposed to that. I mean, that's a pretty good idea. So how would it work? Would it be like? Would it be like
I can tell you
Basically, so if, like you have the like the Pistons and the Hornets, and then you have like the Spurs, and then like I think I'm the bad West team. I think you're muted, Jake.
Yes.
It'd be the Rockets, thanks. Yeah, it'd be the
Okay,
Rockets.
so the Rockets, you'd probably have those two teams face off. The winners of each one of those games would face each other.
And you do like a round robin, so you'd have a loser term. Like if the teams that lose would fight, would play each other. The winner of that would get the third. Whoever loses in the final would get the second, and then whoever loses all of it gets the fourth.
And the teams could give their like players bonuses as well too for that. They would play a little harder.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But also at the concept, you'd get the number 1 overall pick too for your.
That's something to fight
for your franchise,
especially this year.
Huh?
Oh yeah.
All right, so Anthony throws out.
You can literally have like all the pro.
Did y'all hear about I don't think they're doing it this year, but
Sorry
maybe
about
next. I don't know if they're doing it like this year or like next year. The NBA said that they're gonna. I think this is what we all wanted on this panel, of how like they're gonna start for like the MVP awards about like games missed. I don't know if they're gonna
Minimum games. Yep.
So I'm not sure.
I think it's going to be this year. I think it's going to be this year, and it should. I know a lot of people that I listen to that are.
Do you think it's too late for that?
The vote. No, because I'll say this: there are a lot of people that I listen to that have podcasts that vote for these final awards, and they already take into account they have like a personal thing. Like I can't. Like Bill Simmons is a great one. He's like, I can't vote for a guy MVP if he only plays 50 games of the year. I just can't do it because how valuable are you if you're missing these games? I think a lot of voters already have that in mind, but having a hard requirement, I don't think there's going to be a player that's going to be like, oh man, I can't believe they screwed me out because of this minimum thing. I think it's great. And I think it's a lot of people already do it, but having the rule will just avoid people from making dumb MVP votes or dumb other awards.
Well, the reason why I asked this a little bit too late, because the awards are already like kind of like we already know what player's going to be in what category, like Jokic, Embiid, and like.
Well, the question then is like who would be affected by this, and I don't think there's a whole lot of players that would be affected by it this year. There are other years. I think Embiid had some injuries in one of the years that he was like a runner-up for the MVP, but this year I think it's pretty clear. I don't think there's any huge outliers. Maybe the only one I could think of would maybe be LeBron James for an All-NBA team for the amount of games that he's played. I don't know what that number is, but that's the only one I could think of off the top of my head.
Yeah,
I agree with that. All right, so Anthony has the question: do you think MJ is a bad owner?
Yes. Who thinks he's a good owner is what I want to know.
I think he's bad at drafting. I don't know if that necessarily makes him a bad. I mean, I wouldn't say he's a bad owner. I think he's bad in terms of evaluating talent. I'm sure as an owner, players probably love that he's around. It's not like Dan Snyder, where if I'm a player in Washington, I have to hate that he owns my team.
Sure.
I feel like players go to Charlotte, they're like, yeah, Jordan's the owner. It's just that.
Yeah, you literally
fans, it's like. You did
literally the greatest basketball player of all time signs your checks.
That's pretty cool. That's cool. But I think we have to just go with how good has Charlotte been since he's been the owner? That's not a great team. Yeah. They've been in a fairly weak conference for the majority of this is the first year where really the East has been better than the West. And they make head scratching decisions. I think they fired Steve Clifford and then they brought him back like a couple of years later back as a head coach. Things like that just don't make the most amount of sense. It's hard though because MJ's wired so much differently than all these other owners, and he admitted it that he has a hard time evaluating players because in his mind he's like, why can't all these other players play and practice like I do? Why don't they have this mentality that I had? And it's because very few people have that same mentality. It's not so much on Washington as it is on Snyder. It's Snyder.
Snyder. I like watching Washington play. I just don't like
I like Washington too. They get
I like
fix
Chase
their
Young,
O-line and that quarterback.
Terry,
They're a good team. They just need a new owner.
Yes.
Only person that throws any shade on them, none of us are doing it. There's just one of our people here is doing it. I won't say who.
I don't hate Washington either. I mean, I just don't like their owner.
Yeah, no one does.
Yeah,
and that's fair. No, he's terrible.
Well, there you go, Anthony. Greg says, I don't like
Greg Greg wants to smoke.
Yeah.
No, he'll take all of it.
Like you see him flexing.
I love it. Yeah. Viewer on viewer.
Greg
crime.
always funny, man.
Yeah, Craig's great. All right. I mean, that's all I had for the NBA. Yeah, at the end we'll do the basketball reference, but
Yeah, I know.
do want to get into March Madness
Let's do it.
because
I got one more NBA question.
Okay,
Out
go
of
ahead,
the,
go ahead.
Let's do it.
real quick, because I know like I think they're in ninth. So out of the teams that are outside the play-in playoffs, what teams do you think are gonna be? What teams do you see like moving up? Like
Okay,
the Lakers.
Okay,
I
so
mean,
teams,
so
teams that are
what
outside the
play-in
top
team can make
six.
a
but are just outside that
So
I mean,
teams that are we could just say outside the top six. Like what
I
teams
think the
are
Lakers
like,
are ninth right now. I mean, they were 11th, I think. So.
As of right now, the Lakers are ninth.
Mhm.
So in the West, if we're going outside the top
And
six,
they have a big game tonight. They play the New Orleans Pelicans, actually.
they do. But if we're going outside the top six, in the West, it's Minnesota, Dallas, Lakers, Pelicans. And in the East, it's Miami, Atlanta, Toronto, Chicago. That's the current 6 through 10 in that lineup.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm looking at this, I mean, obviously, if the Lakers get healthy, they are scary because they do have a lot of talent, and they have been playing better since the trade deadline. I guess the only thing they could possibly scare me in that range would be, it's just a matchup thing, would be Dallas, simply because they're going to score an ungodly amount of points. And if Luka gets hot, if Kyrie gets hot, and they drop like 80 points combined, that's hard to combat. Are they going to win the first round matchup? No. But if a team, let's say if they get the 8th seed and it'd be Dallas and Denver, does Denver want to play a team that's going to give them a fit like that? No, they don't want to do that. They want someone that's going to be easier to play. They want a team like Utah or Minnesota, someone that's going to they're going to beat in 5 games, not someone that could potentially go off to 6-7 games. So I look at the Lakers and Dallas. Do I think either team is going to win a series? Probably not, but those are the 2 teams for Jordan's question that stand out.
Yeah.
Okay. Dylan?
Yeah, I mean, the Lakers are obviously one of those teams. They're obviously a way better defensive team since the trade deadline. I mean, if you can get a healthy LeBron back before the playoffs, that's going to mean massive for you. Of course, I'll always keep my Hawks in there on that East side. Quinn Snyder being the coach there, they've been playing a lot better as of late. Well, Trae Young's definitely been playing better as of late as well too.
Love Quinn Snyder.
Always to be a good lookout. Yeah, I mean. That the West is very interesting because a lot of these teams have a lot of injuries. Like when you look at like the Minnesota, it's like you haven't played with Karl Anthony Towns for a lot of the season. Just a bunch of things. Like the Pelicans don't have, they don't have Zion Williamson. That hurts them a lot. So yeah, it's just it's rough because a lot of these teams on the outside looking in were like some of these like top teams at the start of the season too. So.
All right. Jordan, you can go ahead and answer your own question then.
Look at the stands real quick.
While he does that, I got a question for you, Kyle. With those teams, what are your thoughts? Because I know this could be a potential matchup of a Boston-Miami first round. How would you feel about that?
Miami was going to be my answer because, I mean, I know I say on here all the time, I wish they moved on from Kyle Lowry, but
absolutely,
if you get into a 7-game series with Miami, they're gonna be physical with you. They're gonna try to beat you up. Butler, as frustrating as he can be to watch, he's a different guy in the playoffs, and that one aspect of his game makes Miami dangerous because they're a team that can hang around late in games. And then Butler can go off on like a little 8-0 run by himself and really flip the tide. So Miami would be my team that's kind of in the play-in area that would probably give a top seed like Milwaukee or Boston fits. They probably don't win the series, but
again,
at least beat you up.
Your reward for a great season is a first-round matchup with Miami. You're pissed because you're going to come out of that. Even if you win in 6 games, it doesn't go to 7. Let's just say it goes to 6. You're sore, you're hurt, you're not injured, but you're hurt, you're tired. You're You don't want any part of Miami. I hate Miami. The fact that they're still hanging around with that roster somehow, some way, just perplexes me.
Yeah.
They pull games out of their ass like no one else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just to answer my own question, I mean, I see LA. I mean, they're right now they're number 9 right now. So they're technically, if the playoffs ended today, they'll be in. But I definitely see OKC. I mean, it's very, like Dino said, it's very interesting because like in the West, you know you got your locks. So you have your Denver, you have your Sacramento. I would say Phoenix is at that 4th spot, but down in that 7th to like 10th tier, 11th tier, you got Minnesota, Dallas, the Lakers, New Orleans, which they're playing, and the Lakers it's 29. I think it's like 30-9. I think in that game right now, 80 has like 15-5 right now. In that game right now, but I definitely see OKC making a push for the play-in, and I think I see your team Utah if they can have a stretch of these last couple of games. So depending on if we keep on winning, I definitely see LA making it. I mean, they're one game back from the 5th or 6th spot. I don't know why you're laughing. I'm just speaking facts. I mean,
it's always we're just much behind.
It's just the way the West is right now. I mean, it's so tight. It's like one
still
team
have to tell me.
Lakers are 2.5 games back from the Clippers.
If you told him they had a chance for that 1st seed, he'd be like, "We're only 17 games back. Like this is
you're damn right."
I'm saying, tell me who from the top 6 falls out to let the Lakers in.
I think the team who falls out in the West in the top 6 is probably LA Clippers.
I could see the Timberwolves doing it. If any team's going to do it, it's probably going to be Minnesota.
Well, like you meant one from.
I guess Minnesota's 7. Minnesota's 7th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't see either of those 6 teams, even the Suns, with Kevin Durant being down and with Ja Morant and Memphis. I don't see any of those 6 teams dropping out of the playoffs and out of the play-in. I don't see it.
I can see LA Lakers or LA Clippers 36 and 33. I mean, that Russell Westbrook the experiment is I guess still new, I guess, but they haven't really gelled together. But
they've won 3 in a row. They're playing well right now.
Okay, well, we'll see how far
they lost like their first 5 with him, but they've turned it around a little bit since then.
Maybe they figured something out.
Maybe,
but it's 3 games, so I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know. Lakers could use a 3-game winning streak.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right.
Still below 500. I mean, and with Mike Breen saying Lakers haven't been above 500 since last January. I couldn't believe that. But then I thought about it.
The Lakers started really bad this year. That's astounding.
Yeah. We had like 14 like different lineup changes. I don't know.
All right. We're not going to turn this into Lakers apologists. All right. They are where they are because of their poor start. Huh?
I'm the boss, man. I'll talk about whatever I want.
Every week, it's like
I will talk about
only before it was when they were 13th. They're only 2.5 out of the play-in. All right, so they're in the play-in now.
This is how the West. I mean, don't blame me, but blame the West. How it worked out, other than the top 2 seeds.
The top 6 have been steady, and who brought it up?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Anthony brought up about the Kings. I keep saying this is
I don't.
I don't think they're going to fall out.
I don't see them. I don't see them
out.
I mean, if they win,
and I like it.
Yeah, that's why I didn't say the Kings. I don't see them dropping.
No, they're not falling. None of those 6 teams are dropping out. It's a fight for 7 through 10 in the West is what it's going to end up being.
This is a big win for the Lakers. If they win, it's a big. Or I'm saying a big game. I'm sorry.
Already calling the game for me.
Every game.
Real confident now.
I meant
every
big
game's
game.
a big game.
Real
every game,
confident now, Lakers fans.
I mean, LeBron's coming back. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be a dangerous team.
Mm-hmm. I'll believe it when I see it.
Okay. All right.
Don't say I didn't warn you when LeBron comes back and they lose a couple of games because he has to get back into shape and all that. I saw you put in the group chat that whole 0 dark 30 thing. You're lucky I didn't respond to that. because he does this every year, and it's so annoying because he does it, and ESPN's like, "Oh my God, LeBron's in playoff mode." For the last 5 years, they've missed the playoffs. So don't tell me about this 0 dark 30. I don't care. I don't care.
Awesome. I don't care. I don't care that you don't care.
Well, Kyle doesn't care that you don't care that he doesn't care.
All right. I don't care that you don't care that they don't care that Dylan don't care that I don't care.
Like jumps on it like, oh no, we should be scared of LeBron now.
I'll believe it when I see it. And look, I love LeBron James. Like before, I thought I was the biggest LeBron James fan I knew until I met Jordan. Like I love LeBron, but like no, I'll believe it when I see it. The dude's old. Like we can appreciate what he is now for his game, but he's not gonna play like he was like 8 years ago.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Anthony. Your picture is funny, man. I don't know what kind of picture that is, bro. But every time you're
by his kid or something, man. You gonna try to rip his kid?
Was that his kid?
Lakers
really?
Lakers are right now against the Pelicans.
Wait.
Yeah, well,
that's probably a meme or something. That's not his kid, right?
Oh, you said Greg. I thought you said Anthony. My fault.
No, I said
you
Anthony.
said Greg.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Oh, you said Anthony.
That's my little one. I was about to say.
That has to be a meme, man.
Could just be his daughter.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
Hard to see. I mean, I'm looking at something that's like a half inch big on my screen here.
Hey, Anthony, I'm sorry that's your daughter. I'm sorry, but it looks like a meme from somewhere else. I don't know.
That feels like the perfect segue to the tournament now.
Yeah,
We've gone from the Lakers. Let's get out of here. Let's get back to the tournament.
Yes.
Let's get to March Madness.
They're up 30-9 against the Pelicans. Woo! All right. So the tournament, first 4 starts tonight. This is like the best time in sports because you get, once you get past the first 4, you get the first, second round all in like 4 days. Love it. Wall-to-wall college basketball. Nothing better. So looking at the bracket. See, I was right. It's his daughter laughing during her photo shoot.
Hey, Anthony, I take that back, man.
I think it's a cute picture. Don't
no.
When
now I know. Hey, let me say my apology. See, I'm sorry, Anthony. Hey, she's cute, man. I take that back. I'm sincere. I do. Because I thought it was a meme, like because I couldn't see like it was like a small little circle, so I couldn't tell that was a meme. Hey man, you know how I am, man. I'm sincere, man. I'll take that back, bro.
I mean, look, Anthony, it's all love. It's all love.
I don't like Washington, but
actually,
brother.
Speaking of March Madness,
He said, "Juan, no, I'm trying to apologize, man."
Do we need to make this like PTA where we just have a mute button for when we get off topic and just Kyle is just like, okay, everybody muted, moving on.
That's all good. It's all good. All right, so I'm gonna pull up the bracket. We can talk about that.
It's all good. All love, man. All love, brother.
Juan, you are hilarious. Yeah, so it's cool, Jordan. I'm not mad.
All cool, man.
Craig said harsh. All right, so here we go.
Next,
have the bracket up. Let me pull it down here. I would zoom out, but then you probably wouldn't be able to see the teams or anything like that. But my first question would be looking at the top seeds. So we have Alabama in the South. We have Houston in the Midwest. We have Purdue in the East, Kansas in the West. Which 1 seed do you think would have the toughest road making it to the Final Four?
Oh man, I gotta see. So looking at the bracket, I've looked it over a lot, but just
I guess I can start with. I guess I can try to show all of. No, it's still kind of big. So Alabama, you're looking at. Maryland.
Is that game today that they play? Or?
Okay.
No, the first 4 games are today. So
yeah, the one of the 16 matchups is literally in like 5 minutes left right now. That's Southeast Missouri State and Texas A&M.
5 minutes left until the game ends.
Yeah.
What's the score of that game?
58-62.
It's close.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
What team is Bama waiting for to play? That team that you just said.
What do you mean? Oh,
Um,
they're waiting to play Bama. Yeah, they're waiting to play Bama. I think.
Or no, Bama's waiting to play.
Yeah, so Bama's the
play them.
south. So yeah, so Texas, A&M, Corpus Christi, Southeast Missouri State, they go in the south, so they'd be playing Alabama.
okay.
And
No,
then
We
one
don't
point
have a
game.
team under the
Yeah, then-
Alabama yet, so it's like
yeah, Texas Southern and FDU go to the east, so they'd be playing Purdue. And then Arizona State and Nevada go in the west. Mississippi State and Pitt go in the Midwest.
Yeah,
when I'm
so
looking at, go ahead, Kyle.
go
I'll
ahead.
let you-
Okay,
Okay,
I was
when
just
I
gonna
look
say,
at this,
I got one
oh,
seed. Who has the toughest road?
it's tough. Like, my gut reaction is either Kansas. It's probably Kansas. Houston is a really tough. Well, I think Iowa's a pretty underrated team. They also have to play go through potentially Texas or Xavier. But looking at the West with Kansas, I think Arkansas Illinois is going to be a really good game. Gonzaga is always, despite their history with low performance in March Madness, and UCLA, I think is a really, really good team. I think they're probably the best 2 seed. So I'm going to go with Kansas. But I mean, they're all pretty well balanced. Usually there's a fair outlier, but for me and what I'm seeing, I'm going to go. Sorry, is that a brain? I'm going to go with Kansas as the toughest road.
Okay.
I
you guys
have
agree?
mine being Houston. I have mine being Houston. I think Kansas's road's tough, but overall, I do think Houston has a little bit of a crazier, tougher road when it comes down to their bracket, especially with Marcus Sasser potentially not being able to play and being injured, their leading guard. It's going to be interesting. Do you mind scrolling back up to their bracket real quick, just so I can see it? I want to see exactly who's their matchups. All right. Okay. So yeah. So. Yeah, that's that right one. So yeah, I think they have a tough matchup, like what Jake said, having Iowa or Auburn. I do think Iowa is potentially one of those underrated teams in the tournament. They're a very streaky team, and when they get hot, like it's hard to stop a good Iowa team like that. I do think Texas is the best second seed in the conference in the tournament this year. So I do think having to potentially play Texas is very crazy. I think Texas is definitely one of those teams that's going to give you a run for their money. I do think I have Texas winning this conference, their side of the bracket. So that's where I think Houston has the tougher part. Having a matchup against Xavier is going to be tough. Having to play Iowa State again is going to be tough potentially. So yeah, overall it's a tough division, and even someone like Indiana or Kent State, both of those two teams are really good at upsetting. So I think Houston has it rough, especially with being an injured team as well.
Okay. Jordan, who do you think has a difficult road to the Final Four?
As a number 1 seed.
Yeah, as a number 1 seed, yes.
The number 1 seed, I think it's probably going to be Kansas, because they, I mean, they got some good players on that team. It's just like depth at the big position. I know they got who's that dude? Who's that player on that team? Master Chief. Is it Shifu or something like that? The center. I could be wrong. I don't know. I know they have the dude Dick on that team. I guess his last name is.
Grady Dick. They have Jalen Williams.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a tough pool this year, man. It's gonna be tough. A lot of talented teams out there. There's some teams that I thought deserved to make it, like Rutgers to make it, but they're in.
We'll talk about snubs a little bit.
But yeah, I mean, I think the toughest number 1 team, it's probably Kansas, the road.
Okay, and I'll throw Anthony's little comment up here real quick. Call me crazy. I got 2 number 1 teams in the final.
Houston, their defense is.
I would call you crazy because I don't have 2 number 1 teams in
the final.
Texas.
Me neither. Me neither. I'm with you right there, Anthony. I don't see any really upsets in the first round. Are there?
Do I have 2 number 1 seeds? Who do I have them playing? I don't have 2 number 1 seeds. I think I don't think I have a number 1 seed. I gotta remember. I have to go back.
I think I have a 1 versus a number 2. I believe that's what I have. Let's see. Jake, have you done a bracket?
I'm filling mine out tonight. I wanted to pick everyone's brain here, see what everyone was thinking, because I haven't had as much time to follow college basketball as I normally do. And so I'll have my bracket. I'll post it in the group chat. But every year we say, "Oh, there's not gonna be a lot of upsets," and then a 2 seed's gonna lose and just destroy everyone's bracket, ruin everyone's weekend.
Exactly.
I know. I always hate making brackets because I'm like, yeah, usually the ones at 2 seeds are lock, and then like when I get to 3 seeds, like predicting upsets is probably where like maybe throwing a random one in there should start, and then like Colgate's gonna beat Texas, and it's like, oh well, okay.
Y'all think Grand Canyon?
Just burn that.
Y'all think Grand Canyon's gonna beat freaking like Gonzaga? Probably not.
Oh, Jake, we lost Jake, so hopefully he can get back on.
Yeah, I'm with Anthony, man. I don't see any, maybe we're all going to be wrong because, like, a couple years ago we got UMBC, University of Maryland, Baltimore. Yeah, I'm saying Boston College. University of Maryland, Boston College. That's going to go on TikTok. But
you're calling it.
Baltimore County, they upset Virginia a couple years ago. I mean, so what school?
Alabama going all the way.
What school had the granny at like? Was it?
That's Loyola.
Loyola, Chicago.
Yeah,
they're not in there, right?
Nope.
Nope.
Yeah, they joined the A10 and then.
We got Alabama going all the way. Yeah, that's tough, man.
Alabama's a good squad,
and they are.
They're very good.
Yeah.
And looking at that bracket, I would say that's probably one of the easier brackets. It's either Alabama or Purdue are the 2 easier brackets to come from. So I don't see a whole lot of upsets in Alabama's way from what I'm seeing.
How do y'all think like Duke's gonna play? Like they're no, I mean I don't know why you're making that smirk, man. Like
Duke's probably gonna lose in the second.
I knew
round.
we were gonna talk about Duke, so it's all good.
You said second round. I mean, I had them going to the second round. I had them playing.
Yeah, how far do you have Duke going, Jordan?
I mean, so I have them beating Oral Roberts first round. I have them facing Purdue. I have them beating Purdue, playing Kentucky, then beating Kentucky because Kentucky is kind of shaky. Then I have Duke and Alabama playing each other. Then I have Duke and Kansas in the final.
You have Duke winning or Kansas winning?
Of course, I got Duke winning.
Okay.
All right.
Fair enough. He's the Duke fan.
Yeah.
Duke's losing in the second round of Tennessee.
I mean,
bro, they're losing to Oral Roberts. I'm sorry. I lived like 10 minutes away from the Oral Roberts, and like, we're gonna go crazy if we beat Duke.
I mean, Jerry Rose is clicking out right now. Filipowski's playing good right now. Proctor's
Oral
playing
Roberts
good.
is a good squad, though.
They are.
Max
They're not your
Abrams
typical
gonna drop
seed.
40 on you.
Yeah. I have Duke losing to Memphis. I have Memphis upsetting Purdue in the second round.
Oh.
Yeah.
I would say I would agree on that. I mean, I would, but who's not stop that dude Iggy though? Dude's a monster in the paint.
You're about to get beat up by Penny Hardaway's gonna come out there and dunk on you guys too.
Yeah, sure. He might get ejected from the game for cussing someone out.
I mean, well, with Memphis, I just like the fact that they just have length all over the court, and I think teams like that can be very dangerous in a March Madness, tournament style because
so my final
not
four
a lot
was
of
Duke,
teams know how to deal with that.
Yeah, so my final four was Duke, Alabama, and then Houston, Kansas.
All right, so all number ones
Except
outside
for
of Duke.
5. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, Dylan, if you want to give your final four.
Yeah.
I mean, you had Duke in the final four, so or one of your brackets.
Did I? Yeah, I did have Duke in the final. I did have Duke in the final four, but I had them losing. I think I had it as Duke. On the one I used for at least our group chat, I had Duke, Alabama, Texas, Houston as my final four.
I mean, the key to victory against Purdue is to get Iggy in foul trouble. Yeah, that's the only way you can stop them.
So as Anthony puts it, who on Duke is doing that?
I mean, it's a team effort. It's not just one guy.
I
But
mean,
I
you
had
threw out there who on Memphis would stop him.
Oh no,
I'm looking at Memphis with the team as well.
I actually didn't
I
have
think-
Bama.
Well, you had them offending him. So yeah, answer Anthony's question. Like, who's on Memphis gonna stop Purdue?
I'm going collective effort.
Okay, that's what I would do. Like,
No, I do think so for me it's like
I mean, I've seen Iggy play live. Like when Rutgers upset them last year, he was.
Mhm. We
I
said
mean,
last
he
year,
got when the Rutgers faced them.
I feel like Edie's gotten. I think Edie was better this year than last year, so I wouldn't look too much into last
Oh,
year.
he was
with
the
it.
top center, and what?
I still think he looked a little better this year, though. So my
I
thing
mean,
is
but I've seen him
Memphis
play.
being able
He's
to
in foul
pressure
trouble.
the guards, making it tougher on them to throw it down low to him. That's a way you could beat Purdue. Don't make it so easy for Purdue to throw it down to him, because if you do, he's going to eat up a lot of teams in the tournament. But if you can pressure their guards and guys on the perimeter, maybe you can force some turnovers, deflect some passes and get out in transition. I think that's the way Memphis probably beats Purdue. And I mean, Jordan, you should love that I have Memphis beating Purdue. I don't know if Duke could handle Purdue.
I mean, I do have an answer. I mean, well, Iggy, he's like 7'3", but you can put Derek Lively on him, 7'1". You can put Filipowski. He can stretch Iggy out on the offensive side. I mean, we got some tall boys, man. Stanley Borden. But it's all about collective effort, you know what I'm saying? So all about slowing them down, getting them in foul trouble, getting them angry early. But I mean, they got a good team around. They got some shooters. They got some ballers. So it's gonna be tough for any team. But I don't see Memphis upsetting them. I'll say Purdue, gentleman's sweep.
But
go ahead.
I had my final four. As so I had it as Arizona, Duke. Then I had it as Texas, Gonzaga. I had Texas beating Gonzaga, Arizona beating Duke, and then I had Arizona, Texas in the finals, and then I had Texas winning.
Okay.
Don't roll your eyes, Jordan, because I didn't pick Duke to win something. There's 68 teams, and he's upset that I didn't pick Duke.
I'll give you my final four. And Jordan, no, Duke is not in my final four either.
Damn.
So in the East, I actually have Marquette coming out of that one.
That was very close for me.
I'm trying to remember now. South, I believe I had. Who do I have coming out of the South? I think I have Alabama. Yeah, Alabama out of the South. The Midwest, I have Texas. I'm there with you, Dylan, on Texas. And then in the West, I do have Kansas making it out.
So I just did my bracket, and I'll share my final four. So I have very similar to you, Kyle. I have Marquette coming out of the East. I struggled back and forth, but I think Alabama's going to come out of the
Y'all
South.
are killing me. I'm out of here, y'all.
And then I got Texas and UCLA coming out of the West and
UCLA.
Midwest.
I thought you had problems with UCLA. Remember when in our group chat I was like, "Oh, our final four, UCLA." Y'all had, UCLA.
Yeah, I don't have UCLA in my final four.
Yeah, that's mine.
Yeah.
That's mine.
It shakes.
Yeah,
I think they'll be
UCLA
good.
is kind of.
Like they're going to have
They're
two tough games leading up to the final four. Like their season's looking pretty legit. So that's what I have.
all right. Hey, Jordan, I don't even have Duke in my Elite Eight.
That's crazy.
I think I have Memphis versus
Wow.
Marquette.
I had it in the final four, and you wanted to roll your eyes at me. They're losing to Oral Roberts. I'm changing it.
Who's
Do
Memphis,
it. Do it.
Who's Memphis playing in the first round 64?
Florida Atlantic.
Yeah, they probably won that one.
Jordan's going to be a
And
big
then-
FAU fan now all of a sudden for one game,
Yeah.
right?
I'm just surprised UNC's not in it, so FUNC. So all I gotta say.
I'm not surprised UNC's not there. UNC doesn't deserve to be there. They had a down year.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Okay. All right. So the last question about March Madness, and then we'll talk about the snubs. So who's a dark horse team that you have going deeper in the tournament than maybe most do?
Boo, what was the question again?
Who's a dark horse team, maybe a lower seed that you have going further in the tournament than you probably think most people do?
Look at the field real quick.
A team I've been using a lot when I've been looking at the brackets is VCU. I think VCU is a really good team. I think St. Mary's is definitely a tough matchup, but I think if they beat St. Mary's, I think having UConn or maybe an Iona upset would be another favorable matchup. I think that's another game VCU could win, especially against UConn. And then after that, having to play Kansas, who's kind of struggled. We've seen them struggle in that Texas game. Kansas struggles in the tournament. Kansas, of course, had their championship win last year, but has known to struggle in the tournament. That could be an interesting matchup. I have VCU making it to the Sweet 16 in a lot of my brackets. Anyway, anything past the Elite Eight. I'm trying to think of any teams that I've had maybe make it past the Elite Eight. I like NC State a lot. I think a lot of those ACC teams are like a lot of like just grimy kind of like gritty type of teams. I think NC State, being able to play a 6 seed will be pretty good. Those 6-11 matchups are pretty good. And then after that, I think they could make it pretty far. I think I had them making it to the Elite Eight in one of my tournaments. So.
All right. Jordan, who's the team for you that you probably have?
And Charleston. I like Charleston.
Okay. I know that's a lower seed that a lot of people are picking to upset round one Charleston.
I could see Maryland getting past the first round. I mean, they got West Virginia, but then I had them playing Alabama second round, so that's probably going to be a W for Alabama. But they got some sleeper players on that team.
I think Maryland's going to get stomped. So
in the first round.
Oh yeah, I think West Virginia is just going to have a heyday with them.
I am all on West Virginia in that matchup.
I mean, Maryland was 21-12, and
yeah, and you want to know where they got all their losses from? You want to know where they got all their losses from? Maryland, they got all their losses away from home. Literally, like all of Maryland wins are home wins. So it's like you showed me that you can't win again at home. Okay, away, you showed me you can't win away. Like that's fine. West Virginia thrives on stuff like that.
We'll see. I mean, it's going to be neutral ground, so not at their either home. So it's like,
that's fine.
Yeah.
They did have a better record than them, 21-12 and 19-14. So.
Yeah, records.
West Virginia by 15.
Ooh, big money.
Records are tough to go by.
Yeah, doesn't that with confidence?
I mean, I like West Virginia in that matchup too. I'm not going to bet against. Hug Bear with
I say that, and it's March Madness, so obviously Maryland's going to win that game now. But
Yeah. I would say for me, the sleepers that I do have, I already mentioned one. I have Memphis making it to the Elite Eight. I also have Creighton in the Elite Eight.
I do. Creighton is one of those teams. I didn't mention Creighton. I had Creighton in a Final Four on one of my brackets. I do like Creighton a lot. I think Creighton being able to go play Baylor as your 3rd seed potential matchup is something you really like. It's something that I think is you'd be even favored in potentially, especially with how you play in this tournament. So yeah, I do like Creighton a lot.
The two, I'll just go real quick. Two that stood out to me as I'm just kind of filling this out. Iowa State at a 6 seed. I have them in the Elite Eight, as well as Indiana. I know Indiana's a 4 seed. That's kind of high, but I feel like everyone's kind of really pushing Houston. And I think Indiana, if they win in a matchup with Houston with the injuries Houston has, Indiana would win that. And so I think I have Indiana in the Elite Eight as well as Iowa State. I think those are going to be really good teams.
Kentucky's been. I don't know, man, because their seasons have kind of been up and down. Calipari, like we all say, he might be in the hot seat.
It's because
I don't
it's
know.
because they potentially could face Duke, so it's why it's not a good pick. Sorry.
I mean, Kentucky will be tough. Like, I mean, I do have Marquette beating them, but I don't think that's going to be an easy game for Marquette in any way. You know, Kentucky is one of those teams when it comes to March. They're always a team that I definitely pay a lot of attention to. But
I
I
hope.
Do y'all
wouldn't
I
have.
hope. I
Do
hope
y'all
you
think
guys
your
beat
brackets
Oral
were
Roberts. I hope you guys beat Oral Roberts just to have to play Louisiana in the next round and lose.
Louisiana? Well, I mean, I had them facing Purdue in the second round.
Ooh, Louisiana, they can't. They play you in the second round.
Yeah.
Huh?
You play the winner of Tennessee, Louisiana.
Yeah.
The Purdue plays the winner of Memphis. Whoever Memphis plays, I can't see. FAU. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, okay. So I have. Well, actually, I had Purdue facing Memphis too. I had Purdue winning that one. Then I got Duke facing Tennessee. Then I had
Oh.
then I had Purdue and Duke.
I hope
playing
you get smacked by the
16.
Raging Cajuns.
I mean, I have faith in my team, man. We're looking good, man. So
Good for you for having faith in your team. That's awesome. But
I mean, Jeremy Roach is. I mean, I'm not making shit up. I mean, Jeremy Roach, like Derek Whitehead. I mean, he was hurt and he's coming back healthy. Filipowski. I mean,
Two
we'll
words
see,
for
man.
you.
Proctor.
Raging Cajuns. Be prepared. Look out.
I mean, we ain't scared of nobody, man.
obviously.
I mean, but you gotta give Duke props because, like, without the first year without Coach K, Coach has done a good job with this roster. You know,
Yeah, I'll give them props with that. I mean, they did win the ACC. At least they didn't win the regular season championship, but they did win the conference tournament, which is an instant bid. They would have gotten an at-large bid regardless, but you know, getting the conference bid put them up to a 5th seed when they could have been a 6th or a 7th potentially. So, you know, I'll definitely give them the credit.
Anthony with another good question.
boys,
Which
but
top
Duke-
5 seed will lose
St.
in the
Mary's.
first round?
I think
So
St.
you
Mary-
have
I think
Duke,
St.
So
Mary's.
you have Duke, Oral
No,
Roberts.
it's
you
St.
have
Mary's.
St. Mary's.
It's
St.
St.
Mary's,
Mary's.
VCU. Who are the other two at top? It's
So Duke, St. Mary's.
Then you have Miami
San
and
Diego,
Drake.
San Diego State.
okay. So
I'm,
that San Diego State one is very, very, very favorited. A lot of people think San Diego's team's going to bounce out in the 1st
I'm a
round.
Baltimore Ravens fan, Anthony.
Yeah,
Baltimore.
San Diego State. A lot of people think San Diego State's going to bounce out because, like, it's just you don't bet the Mountain West in March. Just it's not a thing. You don't. But man, that's tough.
I think
even
it's St.
think
Mary's.
like Miami.
That's my
I
vote.
think all of them are close. If I
I
had to
think
take
either
a
San
final
Diego or
guess,
St. Mary's.
as much as I like VCU and I think I have a VCU hype train, I think a lot of St. Mary's is very underappreciated as well. So I'd probably do it. I'd have to probably get it to. I'll give it to Drake. I think Drake's a really good team. I think this Miami team struggled towards the end of the season, especially being with that 1st seed.
Wait, what was the question? Because he
Drake.
said what top 5 seed will lose in the 1st round.
Yeah.
Not when. You just said
Oh, yeah,
Drake.
he's just saying
I'm saying
any
Drake
top
will,
5
Drake will beat
seed
Miami.
who loses.
I'm saying
Oh.
Drake will beat Miami.
Well, Anthony, I have a bunch of top 5 seeds that I have losing, so I'll run through a couple of them. I have Tennessee losing to Louisiana, which Dylan brought up. I agree with that one.
Raging Cajuns.
Yep. I have Drake beating Miami. I actually have Kent State beating Indiana. That one probably way out of left field,
man.
but I just have.
I had the same.
I have.
And I'm an Alabama fan when it comes to college football, Anthony, by the way. Because his comment. Different.
Ravens and Duke and Lakers fan you all over the world. Huh? Hey, Jordan, why don't you tell me who's your baseball team?
Oh, he's a Yankees fan too, but he's got every spot covered.
So there you go, Anthony. He's a Yankees fan too.
Then when it comes to NHL, I'm a Capitals fan because when I was in
Well,
Baltimore, I didn't have
Texas
any team
A&M Corpus Christi just locked their spot in against Alabama.
All right. They get the chance to lose to Alabama. But
Yeah, that's why
Still good,
earlier. That's why earlier I was like, I hope Lamar doesn't go to the Commanders because that's what I thought that would have got a hint for you. That I'm a Baltimore fan.
You could have just been a concerned sports fan hoping Lamar doesn't go to Washington.
You could have just been very concerned about the quarterback market and the outlook for it.
Yeah. All right. Let me see. Did I have any other questions about the tournament? Oh, well, Jordan did bring this up before.
Yeah.
Who's the biggest
Just
snub?
quick snub.
This
Rutgers. I don't think there's a single snub that isn't
Yep.
Rutgers.
Yep.
Nevada shouldn't have been in it. Nevada's lost 4 straight games. Their biggest wins, I guess, for quad one wins. It's like you beat Boise State once, you beat Utah State once, you beat San Diego State once, and then you lost to a bunch of other ones. Their other quad one wins against like New Mexico, who's not even in the tournament. So yeah, I don't think it should have been any other team in there that wasn't Rutgers, and the only team you should take out is Nevada. I think everything else is perfect. You have the right field of teams outside of that.
Yeah, I agree there.
Yeah, I
like
don't
Rutgers
know
was
what
the right team.
Yeah, I don't know what the committee is reasoning for Rutgers to be out, but my friend that is a diehard Rutgers fan said that Rutgers had a couple bad quad losses, like to Minnesota.
Yeah, they did have a loss to Minnesota towards the end of the season that hurt them bad, especially since Minnesota was like a.
But I mean, even
7-20
with that,
team.
I thought they were locked to be in the tournament.
I do too.
They beat Michigan before they lost to Purdue, like the last game of the season or whatever in the tournament.
Yep.
But
They played Purdue probably the best out of the tournament,
And they did.
They gave them a run
That's
for
the
their
thing.
money at the end.
Yeah.
Rutgers should be, and you can make a case for Clemson as well. They won 23 games. They finished third in the ACC in the regular season. Like you can make the argument there, but really, it's Rutgers and nobody. Like Rutgers is the best answer, hands down.
Yep. I think if you wanted to sprinkle a little bit of Vanderbilt on there as well too, you could convince me, but I wouldn't put Vanderbilt over Rutgers. I think Vanderbilt had a nice run, but Vanderbilt had just too many losses to make it. Man, it just sucks Rutgers not making it, because like even reading like people's like pre-made brackets before all of this, it's like Rutgers is like a 9 seed for a bunch of these guys. Rutgers is an 8 seed for a bunch of these guys, and then they didn't even make it into the tournament. It's like, oh, okay.
At least put them at like 11th or like 12th seed, like or something. Like, put them in there or something. I mean, I think
They wouldn't get a 12
higher.
seed. They wouldn't get the 12 seed. That goes to the below Power 5 schools. Their at-larges are always usually that, but.
Yeah, see, Dylan, you know more than me about like different. So I'll let you like with the quad 3s and 2s and all that. Net, I don't know all that, but yeah,
Man, it's
a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. I don't know.
like my boyfriend was trying to explain to me about the quad. It's like different on your net rating or something like that. I don't know, man. It's quad
So
one.
basically,
quad 3.
if you have losses, you'd rather them be quad 1 losses, because that means you're just losing to really good teams. You could sprinkle in like a quad 2 loss here or there. Quad 3, usually you're talking about like bottom of the conference,
like 150
teams.
to 100, 200
Yeah.
range of teams, and then
Yeah.
like your quad 4 losses, like, oh man, oh.
Yeah, that's like you losing to like when Michigan lost Appalachian State football a few years ago. That's like quad 4 right there.
You don't do
Yeah,
that.
it's like-
You just don't do that.
Yeah, so that quad 3 loss to Minnesota that kind of hurt them. That's probably why.
So I guess the committee looked at Rutgers as like they needed to probably win the Big Ten to get in. I do think a lot of people looking at their bracket now, they definitely feel Rutgers should be in. I know Dick Vitale said he can't understand Clemson not being in, but North Carolina State gets in because Clemson beat North Carolina State 3 times this year.
Right.
So he found it hard to really justify that, but the committee's gonna screw up. I mean, Joe Lenardi, I believe he had 67 out of the 68 teams. I think Rutgers was the one team that he missed.
So Kyle, I want to ask you, since you don't, it's a serious question. Like, is there a reason why you had Duke not in the Final Four? Like, do you like their depth, or like what is your reasoning? Because everyone thinks they're a hot top 5.
I'm just high on Memphis, to be honest with you. If I wasn't going with Memphis, I would have gone with Duke. I think one of those teams could necessarily knock Purdue out. I'm not one of those who feels like Purdue's gonna just like walk to the Final Four. I think Purdue is beatable.
Didn't
Even though-
didn't the Jersey team beat Purdue? St. Peter's, didn't they beat them last
I
year?
mean,
in
yeah,
the playoffs?
like
No, I'm saying, but Dylan, thank God you're back. I was gonna ask you, didn't St. Peter's beat Purdue last year? Was that in the playoffs?
No, I'm not sure what team they did beat, but I think it
I
was
thought-
probably Purdue. Who knows?
yeah,
It was like an upset.
My boy Doug.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dog,
so-
yeah.
when I look at Purdue, I see a team that is beatable. I know a lot of
Yeah.
college basketball fans think they're. I'm sure a lot of people probably penciled Purdue into the Final Four. I just think if it's not Memphis, like even if I'm wrong and Purdue beats Memphis, I'd probably pick Duke to beat them in the following game, to be honest with you. So for me, between Memphis and Duke, it was like razor's thin as to which team I had going further. I just chose to go with Memphis.
Okay.
I like Duke's team. I do. I like what, because it's not an easy situation for Coach Shire to go there after the legacy Coach K
I mean,
created.
that's just
That-
sitting under
that's
Coach
like-
K's wing, and learning
Yeah.
from him. That's,
Yeah, and he had a really good year. I mean, look at North Carolina. Hubert Davis, he took over a program. I mean,
I didn't-
they kind of
see-
struggling, but
See, I'm a true Duke fan because I expected them to lose some games because Shires definitely was a new coach, and
Mhm.
that's just my trust and faith in Coach K because those assistant coaches under his wing, they learn from him, and you've seen. I mean, I know Derek Whitehead kind of missed a couple of games, and he's back now, but. I mean, they're young, they're tall, they're athletic, they can shoot. Filipowski, he was going off against Virginia. I mean, there was no answer for, but then again, Virginia couldn't score a bucket.
that's Virginia's MO. That's under, what is it, Tony Bennett or whatever. Virginia wants to keep the game at like 45, 50 points, and then they're fine. You start scoring like 60, 65,
Virginia
Virginia starts sweating. Yeah,
They're done.
they can't handle that. I mean, it won them a title, so I'm not going to necessarily knock
that's
their.
Yeah, but it also
that's-
lost them in the first round. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my thing with Virginia. It's like you have a coach who's won a ring in this, so it's like, oh man, you can never count those dudes out. They could always just kind of just flip it on again. But oof, man, Virginia's a rough team.
Yeah.
Virginia's in a sense where they're gonna lose probably in the second round, or maybe even the first round, or they might go to the Final Four and win it all. So
Yeah.
that's kind of just the range they're in.
They're definitely tough
They're
to-
not losing in the Sweet 16. They're not losing in the Elite Eight. It's probably the first two rounds
Or
Final Four.
All right. Yeah. We'll touch on March Madness more next week, but as we're getting a little bit long in the episode here, do want to get to these basketball
I
reference
do.
player
I'm
guests
excited.
again. So we have
do it.
once again we got easy, medium, hard difficulty.
I think what we should do is we should you put it up there, and then we each get a chance at answering it. So if I don't get it right, and then Dylan can do it or steal it, make it
We
fun.
can definitely
That's
do
up to
that.
you. Yeah, we can.
We can do that. All right. So let's go ahead and pull up.
Well, we'll do each three rivers, and then we'll take turns, going in order. Jake goes first, and then.
All right. Hold on a second. What happened there? All right. For some reason, it's not pulling up. All right. Here we go.
So we go Jake first, and then me second, or
Need some Jeopardy music.
So
Right.
this is the easy player. So 2012, 2013 coming to the league with the Warriors. Spend a couple of years there. 16, 17, they go to the Mavericks. And then they are currently on the Kings and have been there since 2018, 2019.
oh, all right, I know
okay,
this.
Yeah, I got it as well.
Go
I
ahead,
know
Jordan.
this.
ahead.
Harrison Barnes.
It is Harrison Barnes, yes.
Nice
All right.
work.
See,
That's
okay,
what-
well,
That was
give you
easy.
an easy one to start off with.
You know what I'm saying? Hype.
All right. So now, medium difficulty. I think you guys will get this one. I trust you guys. So they started off in 2015-16 with the Heat, moved to the Grizzlies 2020-21, went to the Clippers 21-22, and are currently on the Portland Trail Blazers. Who is this player?
Currently on the Portland.
We're on the Miami Heat. They went to Memphis.
Who?
So he's currently on the Portland's roster.
Yep.
Is he a starter, bench player?
I can't give that away.
Yeah.
Who?
All right. I can
I
actually stump you guys.
That's a really good question.
I'm trying to think of.
I'm
I
trying
don't
to think
know why
what
I
the
have a tough
trades were
time-
between the. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, I'm just having a tough time to think of who's on Portland.
Yep.
11 games start, 26 points.
I'm thinking like because it's the Clippers to Portland is for last year. I'm trying to think last year's trade. I can think of this. I know I can do this. Yeah, I got nothing.
Man, I'm trying to think. He's on Portland. It's a small forward, power forward on Portland.
So if you guys tuning in, this is the Basketball Reference player guess. So if you in the chat know who this player is, feel free to drop it in the chat and we'll see if you get it right or not.
It
If
has
you
to
need
be
a,
like some weird
need a
veteran
hint,
player.
I do have a hint available.
It is.
Was it?
It's like.
Was
Yeah,
it
what's the
Justice,
hint? What's the
was it
What'd you say, Jordan?
Justice Winslow?
It is Justice Winslow.
Oh, you got it, okay.
Man, nice work.
Yeah, because I was saying 2015-16 threw me off a little bit, but
Man, I forgot him playing like point guard for Miami. Like they
Yeah.
literally played him at point guard.
yeah, I'm too throw, baby. Let's go, man.
Nice work. Nice work.
All right. Now let's go to the difficult one, which I actually think you probably might get.
I'm surprised Dylan didn't get that. Or I'm surprised both y'all didn't get that.
Winslow
Justice
has-
Winslow.
I mean, he has an interesting career.
He's
That
kinda like,
it's-
you
Talk,
know,
talk about a disappointment.
former Duke player, man. So of course I knew that.
Man, I forgot he's even on Portland.
Me too. And I
Yeah,
grew
I
up
think
in
he's,
Portland.
well, it said 11 games started, so he hasn't been playing that much.
Yeah, he has not played a lot in Portland. So this is the
Oh, man.
difficult player. So it started off in 2006-07 with Orlando, went to Milwaukee in 2012-2013, the Clippers in 13-14, to Philly 17-18, the Pelicans 19-20, Dallas 2021.
JJ Redick.
It is JJ Redick, yes.
Yes.
See, I saw there were big Orlando stints, but like, man, him playing in the Pelicans was kind of for the Pelicans was a little bit of a blur for me. I forgot he made it to the playoffs like his whole career, and him playing for the
Yep.
Pelicans like
Yep.
ruined it.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
That was a good one. There were a couple ones that threw me off for a minute, but it was all those Clippers years that it was like it has to be
Yeah.
JJ.
All
That was fun. That was good.
So you guys once again passed the easy, medium, hard difficulty player guess. I will definitely have to try to stump you next week. I will say that once we get close to the draft, so that week I will do a football one, and then baseball season. I'll try to keep it a little bit easier with baseball because there's so many guys out there. I mean, if I wanted to stump you, I probably could, but
Oh,
yeah.
easy. I'd be stumped easily.
All right. Well, I mean, we're past 2 hours now, so I think we've reached a good point in the show. You guys have any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No,
Nope.
enjoy
March Madness,
the
I'm
tournament.
excited.
Best
Yeah,
weekend.
enjoy the tournament. Yep.
All right. Well, I mean,
And we'll be talking about other free agency moves in NFL. I'm pretty
Yes.
sure.
absolutely, because hopefully by next week, maybe we know what's happening with Lamar, Aaron Rodgers,
The new Commanders
And-
quarterback.
and we can definitely get everybody's opinion on that.
I'm definitely. I can't hear Dylan. I don't know.
You may not hear him now, but if that little breaking news ticker comes across and Lamar offers you with Washington, you'll be like, "Oh yeah."
We'll have an
Dylan did
emergency
say
podcast to console Jordan.
that. Right. I mean, we'll see. For all we know, next week he's back in Baltimore, and Jordan will come on here smiling.
Yep. Tell him he was
He's
right
like,
all
I told you
along.
guys. I told you guys.
Yep.
But
Now let's go sign a 38-year-old receiver.
Man.
but,
But didn't it show there's a good way you're running back to Philadelphia?
Our backup running back, Kenneth Walker's just fine. Our backup running back who has injury problems, okay.
yeah.
That's fine. That's
Well,
fine.
Key was kind of hype on that trade, I guess.
Yeah. If he can stay healthy, you guys got to steal. But if he
Yeah,
can
'cause-
stay healthy,
Philly's probably going to lose Miles Sanders. You
Yep.
got to replace him with somebody.
Gotta replace him.
Appreciate Anthony in the chat.
oh man, you're loud right there. You did not mute that mic.
What, with me?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
were loud.
That came out of
Crumpled that
nowhere.
bag.
But appreciate Anthony in the chat. Gregory, it's been a couple of weeks. Appreciate you stopping by as well. Juan
For sure.
was great. Hopefully Juan comes back next
Yeah,
week.
he's a new.
Yeah,
Have you always
first
been?
time. First time I
now?
remember Juan in the chat, so really
Appreciate
appreciate
that
that.
one.
And yeah, everybody else who tuned in, appreciate that as well. This is the Big Three podcast. We're here every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, notification bell, share, all that good stuff for Sports Empire Network. A lot of great shows on here and a lot of great people as well. But until next week, I am Kyle Edwards, not Zion Williamson. I had to throw that in there at one point this episode. Got Jordan, Jake, and Dylan. And
I'm sorry.
I had to. I almost changed my name to
Hey,
not Zion Williamson.
I mean,
and
on TikTok we got 6.9 thousand viewers, man. So
I shared it on my story. People liked it as well. So I guess the resemblance is there. I don't see it, but apparently people do.
Maybe I see
Could be worse.
Maybe I see you with the glasses off. I was seeing you with the glasses on.
Hey, as I said, I play as much as Zion does in New Orleans, so it's all good. But until next week, guys, we'll see you. Have a good night and enjoy the rest of your night. All right.
See y'all.